Session. Notice that this meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and the recording will be publicly available on YouTube. I will now read the land acknowledgement. The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights, encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wampanoag tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wampanoag tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. Now will the clerk please call the roll? Keegan Tripp.
Here.
Cynthia Shelmerdine. Here. Joshua Bone.
Here.
Dylan Leavens. Jordan Thompson.
Here.
Nate Fang.
Here.
Jason Luther.
Here.
Zoe Stankovitz. Here. Olivia Britton. Here. Israel Carafat.
Here.
Lori Sedano. Here. Kyle Ritter. Ray Vanderbilt.
Here.
Ezekiel DeLore.
Here.
Ryan St. Lawrence.
Here.
Joseph Elliott.
Here.
Riley St. Pierre.
Here.
Casper Cowan.
Here.
Briar Chapin. Excused. Kai Whitehead.
Here.
Elena Dana. Here. Scott Van Beek. Here. Isabella Lamadrid. Here. Kayla Kearns. Here. Christian Nora Jordan. Jeremy Palomar.
Here.
Sarah Hazelbaum. Excused. Ethan Grimes.
Here.
Hazel Sparks. Here. Callum Willett.
Here.
Taylor Stanford. And Haley Inman. Here. Marissa Schultz. Here. Jonathan Harper. Lauren DePoe. Timothy Karpinski. Here. Isabella Cantor. Here. Alex Evering.
Here.
Jackson Gamble.
Here.
Sharifah Bed. Excused. Lauren Ditchens. Nico Farrago Dumpy. Excused. I'm now looking for the approval of the 12/2/2025 minutes in this agenda. Senator Nolan.
I'm going to approve the 12/2/2025 continuation agenda.
Second. Hearing a second, if it's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Now, we will now be moving into general good and welfare, where any non-member may address the GSS for no more than 5 minutes. Do we have any speakers? Seeing none and nothing under new senators, officers, appointments, or resignations, we'll now be moving into club maintenance, starting with preliminary approval. And I would like to invite up the Students for a Democratic Society to come speak.
Hello.
Hello, so if you could tell us a little bit about your club.
Yeah, so I'm Gabriel. I'm with Students for a Democratic Society. I don't know what our club is. We're a progressive student organization primarily focused on direct action on protests or other organizational events, like we do educational panels. Generally just we have a campaign model where we focus on meeting demands of the student body through direct action. So our current campaign right now is focused on protecting converting international students. So I don't know if I have anything else that comes to mind.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator DeLore.
How many members do you have in your organization?
So actively, I'd say we have around 15 members, but we are always open, so people kind of come and go. But I would say actively around 15 people.
People.
Are you a different organization like you Maine Progressives?
We are a different organization, yes. We're part of a broader national organization. I forgot to mention that earlier, sorry for that. But it's chapter driven, so the chapters kind of function relatively autonomously compared to the national SDS.
Are there any more questions for our speaker? Seeing, Senator DeLore.
Do you foresee asking for funding from the student government upon approval?
I don't foresee that in the immediate future, no.
Any more questions? President Tripp.
Without preliminary recognition, how have you been like getting rooms and meetings thus far?
So thus far we've worked through the MSC. So through OCC, we've been using the UMSG Center for our meetings with permission from the director and ELO. And we've been meeting there every Tuesday throughout the semester.
Any more questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
300 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator DeLorme.
To approve the committee's recommendations.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Next up, for preliminary approval, I'd like to invite up the students for the exploration and development of space. Hello, if you'd like to tell us about your club.
So I'm with the Students for the Exploration and Development of Space. We're an engineering club that has two divisions. One is high power rocketry, the other one is high altitude balloons. Basically, this club is to give students another option when it comes to outside of the classroom learning. Gives us hands-on experience working with aerospace industry. So yeah, we've had two successful high altitude balloon launches, one successful rocket launch. We're looking to do more next semester.
Are there any questions for the speaker? VP Ball.
How does this club different from organizations like AIA?
So AIA does planes, RC planes, we do rockets and altitude balloons. So this is more of like an in space versus just in the atmosphere.
Are there any more questions, Senator Ricker?
My favorite part of aerospace, that's like a field.
Favorite part of aerospace? I'd say probably just things that go fast. I see things go fast.
Any more questions? Senator Elliott.
How many members do you have currently?
We're gonna have around a dozen to 15 active members.
Senator Elliott.
What major would you say most of the university?
Most mechanical, we have one chemical, couple electrician.
Are there any more questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
300 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation.
I move to accept the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Moving on to final approval, I'd like to invite up the Political Science Student Association.
Hi, I'm Nathan Devaney. I'm the president of the Political Science Student Association. Since you all gave us preliminary recognition a couple of months ago, we've been holding meetings every week. For membership, we currently have 21 members on campus groups and about 12 who show up to meetings actively. One of our more successful events since we actually gotten going was we organized a panel with all of the poli-sci faculty to talk about the courses they would be offering the next semester. We had about 24 people in attendance for that. We hope that we'll do that event again in spring, and hopefully it'll continue as a tradition in years following. And we've also had a few guest speakers, including some faculty from Maine. And if we get final recognition, we hope to continue growing and being an opportunity for students to get more involved in political science.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
201 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendations. Senator Sparks.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation. Second.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Next, for final approval, I'd like to invite up the Story Creative Writing Club. Do we have a speaker? Okay. We'll be moving on for final approval for the Girls Club Water Polo.
Hi, I'm Ann. I'm president of the Girls Club Water Polo, and this is my vice president, Grace. So about 2 months ago, you guys gave us preliminary approval. Since then, we have done over 15 hours of service and raised over $300 in fundraising. We have practice usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Wednesdays are co-ed nights. We practice at the Stanley Walls Pool. We have 16 members on campus groups and about 10 members who come to practice every so often. We are loving playing water polo, and we have collaborated with Club Swim, and we hope to do that more in the future. If you give us final recognition, we will continue to practice and grow our skills and work with the teammates that we love.
So. Yes. Are there any questions for the speaker? VP Long?
Mentioned you practice the Wallace pool, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you charged for each student pool?
Yes, we do. So the club we split the cost with Club Swim for lifeguards, and then usually the executives, we then split the cost amongst ourselves because we're fine with that. We're planning on, now that we have some fundraising money, using that to help pay for full time. And we're looking at charging dues, but we have not charged any so far, and they wouldn't be too expensive.
VP Long?
Have you talked with Sean Owens about becoming a sports coach?
Yes, we have. So we are working on creating our UCU club account, and are working on the EIN, but it's getting a little stuck with the IRS right now. I think that's like the last thing we have to do to like officially club school.
Are there any more questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
300 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation.
Move to accept the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. President Tripp?
Not entirely relevant to the funding request, but myself and advisors sit out those spoke recently about tackling the pool charging issue, and I believe we'll be following up. So stay tuned for that because that's ridiculous.
Oh, thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Sorry that you're even
Oh my gosh, don't worry about it. We are totally fine, even if we do have to. So.
Any more points for discussion? Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passed. Next, for final approval, I'd like to invite up Turning Point.
Hi, everyone. My name is Molly. I'm the president for Turning Point USA at UMaine. The national organization's mission statement is to identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote principles of fiscal responsibility, free markets, and good government. We would like to take the same approach on our campus. We're just an extension of the national organization. We have been hosting meetings every week, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. We have maintained about 15 members coming to meetings, and we have 37 members on campus groups. So our turnout has been very consistent, and we have a good amount of members on campus groups. And we haven't hosted any events this semester, but we have been planning for events next semester. We hope to become more active in the spring semester of the year.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator DeLorme?
What events do you have, like, kind of in the works for next semester so far?
Trying to get just a speaker. We don't even know who yet.
Senator Sparks?
Are you a part of like the official Turning Point, or is it like inspired by?
It's official, yeah.
Are there any more questions for our speaker? President Tripp?
Do you pay national dues to Turning Point? I think so.
Any more questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
300 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator St. Pierre?
I don't approve these recommendations.
Second. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed, all abstaining, seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Last for final approval will be the Muslim Students Association.
Hi, my name is Rafeda. I'm here with the Muslim Students Association. About a few months ago, we requested preliminary recognition with the student governments. Since then, we have hosted weekly meetings. We also host weekly meetings that including things like we have trivia nights, we have bi-weekly learning circles just to give Muslim students a space to gather and learn more about religion and kind of our role within society and the how that growing as people. Yeah.
Are there any questions for our speaker, Senator Sparks? Are you officially undershot?
Yes, we are.
Representative Emery?
Yeah, this isn't so much a question, but it's been a real pleasure having you guys come to our weekly Shack meetings. It's like I regret that I couldn't come to one of your guys' meetings, but I plan to go tomorrow. The Pilates that you guys host every on Wednesday, is it at 5:00? At 4:30, is really a great time. Like I think being able to learn more about this culture is very valuable. And I really look forward to working more closely with you guys next semester.
Are there any more questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
300 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator St. Pierre?
To approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed, all abstaining, seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. And moving on for the representative board for the Honors College Student Leadership Council. Do we have a speaker?
Jeremy, were you gonna introduce?
Thank
I requested it, never got it.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to take this time to introduce Lindsay. She is the president of the new iteration of the Honors College Student Activity Board, which is now the Honors College Student Leadership Council. Thank you. I always want to say committee. And we wanted to quickly go through some of the changes, just so you guys all understood what the changes were, because I know that was a topic of discussion throughout the semester. So we've finally gone through and done all of our bylaws this semester, which we're really excited about. And Lindsay has gone through the whole onboarding process. But basically, the way the council is working is that everybody within the different initiative groups of the Honors Council, like the Maine Day Meal Packout, like the Honors Student Ambassadors, there's two more.
Maine Day Meal Pack Out Committee, the Honors Cup.
Yes, the Honors Cup. And then there's a representative from each of the four cohorts. And then above them is the council itself. No, the executive board itself, sorry. And then there's a representative from each of those groups within that. And then above them is the president's cabinet, which is the president, the treasurer, the secretary, and because we need another person on campus groups, the fourth year cohort member was also part of that we before, which we liked anyway. But there's also a representative at large, which can be a member who's not in the honors college, but they still have to be a member of the you still be a member of one of the initiative groups, so they're still connected, but hopefully more connected to the larger student body than someone who's still in honors. Anyone have any?
President Tripp?
What are the steps we've taken to make sure that this stays a thing for more than 2 years?
Yeah, really the way that we built This around is really designed to, it's built around the pre-existing groups. So these groups are already here, they are ingrained, Maine Annual Pact has been doing this for years, it's probably never gonna stop. And so groups like that are a big part of it, but also how we've built this structure around the way that it interacts with the higher administration of the honors college is also like they have a stake in this board's existence in a way that they no longer had in SAB because they had kind of felt themselves that SAB wasn't working as much, and so they started doing a lot of the event planning that we were supposed to be doing. So now they have a stake in it because that's where all of their student feedback, all of the information on anything they're trying to get from honor students is coming from this group, so.
I guess I'm still kind of confused about your three-tiered structure. And I'm wondering which tier is most accessible for just general honor students to join and give input to your effort.
Yeah, probably the initiative groups themselves, would you agree, probably?
I would say the cohorts probably would be
Oh, yeah,
more
that's
for
true.
broad honor
That is true.
students. I guess just to reiterate the organization of it, the council itself is all of the initiative groups that already exist. So I mean, the Meal Pack Out Committee, Honors Cup, Honors Ambassadors, Honors Group Facilitators, that's the whole council. Then our executive board, one rep from each of those committees itself. So they'll talk to their like respective committee or initiative group, have one rep talk out to the executive council, and then we'll have our president's cabinet, which is our officers, so our president, secretary, treasurer. But part of the executive council is one cohort member from each like admissions group, so each like grade level essentially. So they would be responsible for talking to their general honors population to get feedback about honors policies and curriculum changes.
President Trick.
And the council, the large scale council, is the one that anybody would be able to go to for meetings, right? That's the one that would be open. I remember I would go to honors SAB meetings every now and then just to touch it.
You know, we hadn't worked that in, we hadn't even thought about a general audience, but I see no reason why someone couldn't attend if they wanted to talk about something.
Okay.
Senator Sparks.
How are you, reaching out to get these representatives for, from each of the cohorts?
We will be holding the general elections in the spring, so each, and because all these people are in honors classes, there'll be some heavy outreach to all of the honors professors, but then also in the honors weekly and in signs throughout the entire building, and these people should be, if they're, you know, continuing their curriculum, they should be within that building every week.
Are there any more questions? Representative Emery?
Yeah, I know that the National Society of Collegiate Scholars is looking to open up a chapter here at UMaine. And I was curious if this council would be willing to work with like sort of national honors societies, I guess, and you know, meet with them, I guess, and see about collaborating.
Yeah, so part of our function is being also to also add extra like initiative groups or committees. So we were thinking about adding a separate activities committee, which would kind of take over what SAB's role was. So then that also leaves responsibility for other groups that want to join. If we want to collaborate with like maybe non-honors groups that are already established on campus, just to kind of bridge the gap between honor students and non-honor students. We feel like they're kind of like still tied within the student body itself.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
3-0-0, although this doesn't go to a Senate vote.
Was it not?
Why?
I mean, I guess it could.
I think we should just walk through the procedure, because technically they're constitutional, but we should walk through the procedure since they're technically a new group as well.
Okay.
Because they skipped recognition entirely, but they're good. You guys are good for it.
I'm now looking for approval of committee's recommendation. Senator Warren.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. President Trick.
Even if this vote is procedural, I do think it's a payoff of a lot of hard work, the two of you, to kind of get this back off the ground and put it back into a position where it's not just events, but it really is kind of helping the shared governance of things in the Honors College. So I just wanted to thank you for that and encourage everyone to support this.
Any more points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority of affirmative, that passes. Seeing nothing else under club maintenance, if you were a club speaker, feel free to stay or leave. Next, under club presentations, we'll start with Women in Business / Maine Women's Conference. Will you be presenting anything?
Yeah, I have a presentation. You want to stand up?
You'll stay up there.
Okay.
Is it like a slideshow?
Yeah.
Okay, you just tell him when to click and he'll do it for you. Unless, oh wait, no, we have a clicker down, but. How about that? I believe we tried to last time. It didn't work. So, hopefully, yeah.
All right, I'm Kate Parkinson. I'm the current president of Women in Business. And October 22nd, we went to the Maine Women's Conference hosted at UMSG in Portland. We brought 19 girls with us. They're all pictured up there. And I'm just gonna tell you about our conference and what we did. Oh, sorry. Our first speaker that we saw was Dr. Danny Bowie. She talked about unleashing your inner CEO. It was very interesting. She used to work in the tech industry in Silicon Valley. And she talked about how gender discrimination can be transformed into confidence. And I thought that was really fitting and useful for our members. And the second speaker we saw was Anna Goldsmith. She is an experienced TED Talk speaker, and now she's a TED Talk coach. We thought it was going to be more about public speaking, but she was talking more about how to write TED Talks themselves. But it was still very interesting, very useful for English classes or any other classes that our members might be in. And then our third speaker that we saw was Lori Pine. She is a successful business coach, and her whole theme of her business is bringing joy to the business world. It was a really fun and interactive presentation, and we connected with her as a club, which I will touch on in a second. The keynote speakers were Amanda Gore. She used business graphs to describe how you can bring joy into the business world. And Christina Langdon was very interesting. She did PR for Martha Stewart, and she talked about how her and the team managed the public relations for someone who's so high up. The impact this had on our club was really great. We got a connection with Lori Pine. Her son goes to Husson, so she offered us a speaking opportunity for free, and usually you have to pay for her services. And we got an invitation to the Harvard Women in Business Conference next year, which is going to be awesome. We also gained a lot of professional development, and we strengthened our visibility through just being there. Outside in the lobby was a whole business fair. So we were talking to local businesses, and it got us really far and connected a lot of our members with potential employers. It grew our programming, and it gave our members real world exposure to women who are in leadership spaces already. I want to thank you guys for supporting this trip for us. It was awesome for our club, and we can't wait to see where this can take our club in the future.
Do we have any questions for our speaker? Senator Lauren.
What was your personal favorite part of the conference or favorite speaker?
My favorite speaker was Lori Pine. She just was so energetic and happy to be there and ready to just talk to anyone. She didn't seem nervous up on stage. It was really cool.
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you guys for coming to speak with us. It seemed like a very successful trip, and it was very exciting for you guys.
Thank you.
Next, for club presentations, I'd like to invite up the Physical Education Student Organizations Conference recap. You guys have a presentation?
No, I.
Okay.
My name is Abe, Vice President for the Physical Education Organization on campus. Recently, we attended a conference held by the Massachusetts Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance at the Sunset Resort in Rockland. It was a 3-day conference. We showed up on Tuesday or Sunday, for that was Tuesday. And essentially, the conference was a professional development opportunity for us to experience and interact with professionals in our desired fields. Now, the uniqueness of the conference is that it's very diverse. There's people from strength and conditioning backgrounds to teaching to all sorts of different fields. And the way it was formatted was there's hourly blocks, and each block had about 6 to 8 different presentations going on. So us as students were able to choose and pick the presentation we wanted to go to based off our interests, which was very nice. So it's not like we all stayed together at certain times. Everyone got to pick and go different places, which was awesome. And it also allowed us to interact with professionals that we actually desire to go over their fields, which was a neat thing. My favorite part, as I'm an exercise science student myself, I was able to go and interact with different strength and conditioning coaches, get their contact information, be able to have a little dialogue with them, and also challenge them at times, because coming from an exercise science background, I was able to ask questions about this last year, things I might disagree with, and that only the disagreement built knowledge because they were able to give me their opinions, I was able to give them mine. And it was a great experience. Aside from the actual presentations that were going on, there was afterwards a 2-hour period where everyone came to the grand room, as they call it, Samoset, and we were able to have an interaction. We were playing cornhole, and there were drinks, not alcoholic, and we were able to actually interact with all the presenters and talk with them, and actually kind of create a little bit of a relationship that really will only further our development down the line. So,
Do we have any questions for our speaker, Senator Ricker?
What's a good presentation?
my favorite presentation, kind of going along with that disagreement, there was a strength and conditioning group, this lady and this gentleman who, to say the least, had a lot of program that they were giving students. And the reason it was my favorite is because I was able to kind of develop a little bit of bravery and kind of challenge their opinion. And we actually had really good dialogue back and forth based off of what they thought was right and what I thought was right, coming from an academic background, like science, from that experience. And it was a really cool experience to kind of mesh and go back and forth and not just really just say, yeah, they're right because they're professionals. I was able to actually like voice my opinion, which was like, I felt like my favorite part of the growth experience.
President Tripp?
How are you gonna take the experiences that those of you who went on the trip gained back to your club?
Back to our club, well, we actually have already had a meeting, separate meetings since, but we were able to discuss what our favorite parts were, and we actually had several professors from the University of Maine who went. We've actually been able to, because we're all in the KP school, throughout the time, we able to go to the professors, and I've talked to the professors about that strength and conditioning program. I was like, did you think like he was right? Challenge them. So like, we're able to interact with our own KP community, and at the same time share each other's experiences. We kind of try to move forward with that.
Yeah, awesome.
Are there any more questions? All right, well, thank you so much for coming and presenting. We will now continue on to our guest speakers, starting with Dick Young, the Director of Auxiliary Services.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be invited here to speak about the auxiliary services that we offer here on campus. And I brought Dennis Gagnon with me, who is the new Sodexo Operations Manager here. He is a residential district manager. So he's covered statewide. If you haven't heard, Matt Legault, who was here with us, stepped away this fall. And now Dennis has come on board to lead us through the transition. And we also got some other new people faces coming in shortly as we go forward to build the team back up to where we were. Dennis has done some great work here since he's been here. And he'll talk a little bit about the dining operations, where we are and where we're going, and take any questions you may have about the dining. In terms of the other operations, I will be available to talk to anything about the housing or other units that are in the auxiliary service. I don't know of any particular one you want to hear about, but I'm going to talk about anything we have. From housing to health service to UVAC to printing services to we can also talk about parking. Any of those things. But I'm gonna have Dennis give you a chance to talk a little about the dining program and where we're going. So if you haven't already been to dining, we've made a lot of changes this year. We built a lot of new facilities, looking to now bring those online in the spring with some of the ones we just brought on recently. And hopefully you can talk to us about maybe some future things that we're talking about. So Dennis.
Thanks. So I'm gonna just give you guys a little update. I apologize if some of the stuff is already redundant to some of you, but might be new to some as well. I just wanted on a side note, just mention that I'm very excited to hear about women in business. It's something I'm passionate about as well, and one of the things that I've done in my time here is I've restructured the dining program as to how it's led and managed. So we now split between Matt who manages the whole dining program. But since Matt has moved on, I've hired Carmen, who's gonna manage general manager, catering, and basically customer service type stuff. And as you'll see in here, I interviewed and introduced to Dick today, somebody who I think is gonna be great for Maine. Her name is Emily. She's a professional trained chef. So dining will be managed by 2 female general managers. Very proud of that. So great work. And if you need a job. So the residents' dining participation has increased in Hilltop 22% since the renovations have been put in. If you've been out there, you may have noticed some congestion, there's some difficulty for them adjusting to the new number. We're working with them through that. Bringing up a team of regional chefs that are gonna come up in January and work with that whole dining team to help them reboot it and sort of give them some new ideas about what they can bring to students. We have opened up Starbucks, as you all know, that's been very well received. The Amazon store has been widely used. I would love to hear feedback on the Amazon store and what kind of things students would like to see in there to make it more usable for them. We have the largest fleet of Kiwi bots with 40 of them and 3,300 subscriptions with no delivery charge because they're in the meal plan. I've never seen the Kiwi bots in person until I came here. They're so cute. Some of them are bedazzled, which is kind of funny, and they got snow tires. That was fun to find out. Sal's Pizza in the pub seems to be well received as well. Thanks to the help of auxiliary services in partnership with us, we opened up the new outdoor patio area. I don't know if you've all had a chance to see it, but it's beautiful with fire pits and all of that. So we're gonna try and find ways to utilize that as well a little more in conjunction maybe with the food truck. We removed caps on the to-go meals and the reuse pass program as of October had used over 40,000 containers, green containers, helping support humane dining sustainability. So if you're using those, thank you. We appreciate it. Some things coming up in the future that we're looking forward to is we're going to put a Buffalo Wild Wings Go into the pub. We think that would be well received by students as well. We're gonna introduce chef-driven culinary demos in the dining halls, specifically in Hilltop, utilizing that U-Cook station. We've done a lot. I have a culinary background as well, so my focus is really on the food, presentation and execution more than it is the numbers. So we're gonna be incorporating some of those kinds of things. Again, with the help hopefully of Emily coming on board as a professional chef, she'll be able to help drive the team in that direction. I'm working with our marketing team to figure out how to highlight better our baked goods on campus. We have an actual scratch bakery where we do a lot of scratch baking and use a lot of local ingredients to that. And I just feel like we're not telling that story really well. So looking to work on that for spring semester. We're gonna launch a weekly culinary feature to enhance variety in the dining halls as well. I'd like to really badly reestablish the community culinary council to get some more feedback, diverse feedback from the student body to see what kind of things students would like to see either in the retail spaces or the dining hall. And just kind of open up that dialogue. And yeah, as I said, finalized hiring Carmen and Emily hopefully will be joining us for spring. Happy to take any questions.
Representative Emery.
Yeah, pretty recently, the Student Heritage Alliance Council on campus, actually went through SEDEC, so to get our, third group. And while there were some reservations at first, I found that, the service that, Sodexo provided was really great. The quantity of food that we could get for the price that we got, was incredible. The service that the, staff that went there to deliver it was, very prompt and very professional. So I think, you guys have done a great job in getting those people in there. So thank you.
Thank you. I was part of that and I appreciate you recognizing that. Thank you.
VP Ball.
Is there any plan in the future to reinstate the U-Cook station at the York Dining Hall?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion around York, and what to do with it moving forward, and we're looking at various options. The U-Cook needs a hood system, for the fire marshal, and unfortunately, that hood system is quite expensive. Did we know better than me, but it's the millions. Right?
The hood system, we have a couple options, and there is a hood system out there that's for all you call them, maybe, it's a ventless hood, right? But we can't get that approved. That's what we're looking for to put down. That means we could just hang it up and it wouldn't need any punching through the roof or do any work outside of that. So if we put a hood down there, we'd have to, obviously get the hood and then have it fully installed and functional, and you gotta have all our systems. So it's not out of the question to do it. It's just finding the money to do it, and number one, in a place in the dining commons that we can place it that would be effective for students to use. So we're still looking at it to see what the options might be.
Yeah, we're looking at a few things for York and trying to, I really want to brainstorm with the team, because I think the York team that's working there, they have the old facility, but they have a lot of heart. I mean, they really try and deliver on expectations. And so trying to work with them to see their ideas and what they think we could utilize the space better. Until we can do something.
And any ideas you have that when you're walking in there, or things that you'd like to see, mention that, because they will throw that on the table and talk about it. So they had a great staff down in New York, do a lot of great things down there.
President Tripp.
You go.
Senator Kearns.
Thank you. So one issue that I've found with a lot of students is the Amazon store. I know you guys talked about that. They're getting charged for things that they just purchase. And I know Sodexo doesn't, like, you guys run the Amazon store, but it's a third party company, right? So there's a lot of issues between that. So I was just wondering, have you guys addressed that, or?
So I don't know how recent what you're discussing is, still being new. If it is still happening, I would definitely like to know. But when I first got on board, one of the things that we found is the way the Amazon store works is every item that's in there has to be in a certain spot. And they were not putting the items always in the same spots, or they were moving the items around, which was causing some of that issue. But again, it's technology, and technology is a funny thing. So if you do hear that, please let me know, and we'll investigate it. Certainly refund anybody that was overcharged as quickly as possible.
I had a question regarding dining over the summer. As undergrad who was doing research here, the Bears Den was open for a select period of time during the day, part of the meal plan for summer living. There was only a couple options, and I was told by the other researchers that the options became more limited this past summer from previous years, like the other stations were open. And so I didn't know if those same stations would be closed, such as the Mexican bowl area, or the pizza or whatnot, and such as the stir fry. I didn't know if that was gonna be changed for this summer, or if that was something that you're gonna continue just having the burger station, the sandwich station.
Sure. So that's one of the reasons why Dick brought me in, and is to kind of take a fresh eyes look at everything. And I found that, the team did a good job, launching all these new things. They had a pretty tall task in the time we've been here, but now we're trying to get them to look at things in a different perspective. So to your point, if we can't say, based on staffing and whatever, we can't open all stations, maybe we rotate stations, right? So, maybe on Monday, the Mexican theme and the walk station are open, and on Tuesday it's the grill, and you know what I mean? So we could mix it up or be creative like that. So I haven't seen a summer yet, but I'll definitely keep that in mind. And if you are here in the summer, certainly happy to have dialogue about what kind of options make most sense for what students would be looking for versus what we have open. Or being creative about how we, maybe we self-service station, or just get creative about how we execute it.
Are there any more questions? Senator St. Pierre?
I just wanted to add on about the refund point. I don't have the experience with the Amazon store, but there was a time where the key vending machine in the library charged me for something I didn't grab. And
obviously with technology, there's gonna be flukes like that, and I found that when I reported it, the service it was very easy to get the refund, and the Sodexo employees were, they just emailed me back, and I'm like, oh, we refunded you. So it's a pretty easy process.
I appreciate you
I
calling
appreciate
that
it,
out.
yeah.
Technology is a funny thing. Everybody wants technology and food is probably one of the oldest things on the planet. So maybe they don't always work well together.
Senator Colborn?
Something I have heard quite a bit of criticism about, from dorm students specifically, because they're the people really using the meal exchange program at the union, is the lack of ability for like full meals that are healthy, or sides too, because like if you were getting something from what, the thing that I've heard, and I haven't had the problem typically, I'm just getting a salad or something, but I heard that like when when they're trying to get an entree from one of the stations, they can't get a side salad as well, like the smaller side thing, and I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Just because they would hope to be able to, I don't know, get like maybe a burger with a side salad or, something in that area, but I wasn't sure if there was any reasons you knew for those kind of limitations on the meal exchange side of things, but.
Like, are you saying as instead of fries, a side salad as an example, or in addition to?
Yeah, the way I heard it was, like, sorry, it was not to go with the fries, but instead of the fries, yeah.
Gotcha. So that's great feedback. I think if that option doesn't exist, I fully support coming up with a way to make that happen. I don't know, assume you guys, write down the notes for these meetings. So maybe if I could just, so I don't forget, certainly can do that. I see that as an easy fix.
Senator St. Lawrence?
Other person I've heard about that in some place is the, I think individual items themselves. Has there been discussion about that? Because I know there's been an issue since it was on solo thing.
Not that I'm still new to some of it, but not that I've heard yet. I mean, I know that when we do pricing, we compare it to what's local around the area, so I certainly will take a look at it, and if you have specifics that you can help me out with.
I have one just because there's the one I've heard the most complaints about. If people want like cereal or want to buy a box of cereal there, it's like $11.19 for a box of Lucky Charms. Okay, you can go to Walmart, get a size box for like $4 or $5.
It's a good example. I'll get it at.
I do appreciate the individualistic complaints regarding food dining, but I'm looking for more generalized comments and concerns from our speaker. That was not directed towards the last speaker, that's directed in general. VP Fang.
This is a question I'll feel comfortable answering if you don't. In terms of what Matt did in the position and what you plan on doing, what are things that you would like to do differently, would like to improve on?
So Matt was a super, you guys met Matt maybe, so super smart guy, right? I respect Matt, he can do numbers like I cannot, but having a culinary background, and I've been in resident dining service for longer than I'm gonna tell you, but we serve food, right? So I look at it from a culinary perspective, how is the food presented and how are we interacting with students? What's the relationship between us and the student body versus just trying to tick off the box to make sure we've captured all the things that we're required to do. So, but I don't want to take anything away from Matt because all the things I listed, he launched that stuff and that is no easy task. So he's sort of given us a baseline to work with and Matt left on his own accord. He understood what his limitations were and moved on to other things. And yeah, so my thing is really trying to focus on how can I get the culinary team to interact with the students and the students to interact with the culinary team, break down that barrier and make food more of a discussion and an open policy between us and student body on where the food program goes from there. It's generally we serve up ideas But ultimately, the student body should drive where that goes from there. And so that's where my head's at. I don't know if that's necessarily where Matt's head or expertise was at. And I really like to build a team that is learning as well in the work environment to build their skills that they can use outside of here besides just coming to work and generating excitement about culinary. That's not just like, oh, I'm up here to do a job. And there's a lot of folks here that have been here I met this lady Kathy, she helped us on an event, she's been here 33 years, you know what I mean? She loves it here. So I want to kind of cultivate that kind of energy into what we're delivering to the students. That feels nice. But I'm comfortable answering anything, by the way.
Any more questions? Senator Elliott?
I guess I just have a general question about like how money and dining funds move. Like when students pay for a meal plan, does that go straight to Sodexo or does that go to the university and then the university, like, how does that work?
Yeah, it goes to the university.
Meal plan dollars go to the university. We manage, auxiliary manages the budget, and Sodexo is the contractor. So then we reimburse Sodexo for their services. So we're constantly looking at those with them and managing the budgets to ensure your meal plan dollars are buying what you want, and we're looking for feedback too to make sure you're getting what you need. But we put those together with Sodexo, and the university is the one that provides all the input and feedback from them to build the plan, price.
And I would say something that UMaine does that I haven't seen a lot in my career is they're very smart in putting away a part of money for improving the dining program. Like, I've worked at a lot of universities, and anytime you touch, say, back of the house kitchen stuff, you get into millions quick. And they usually try and hold that stuff off, hold that stuff off, hold that stuff off. UMaine has not been that kind of partner for us. Cook Station, they create a pocket of money to be able to help continue to develop the program so that it's not just rotting on the vine, so to speak.
Does Sodexo have any idea on like the increased cost that they're gonna need from the university to continue to provide in the upcoming years?
We generally align it with whatever CPI is, so we don't gouge. Whatever the CPI percentage is, we align with that, and it's pretty much on target.
It's about 3%.
Yeah, it's usually on an average about 3%. Like many businesses, we took a bigger hit in COVID because it was getting so crazy. We didn't want to pass that on to the cost, so we just kept it at 3%. But generally, we just align with that price list.
Any more questions? President Tripp?
First off, our body does have a food and dining affairs committee that I think I'm surprised that you're not already connected with. So we'll make sure that you are past this. Senator Kearns, I believe, is chairing that. Help wave. Hello. Okay. And so I have a question, kind of a more general question, and maybe one that we need to have a continuing conversation about. But our body here, I know deans, directors, offices around the campus, all the way up to the president, do takeout beyond Sodexo because of the costs. It's just too much. And I know that community events that take place on campus are looking to take them off campus, not just because of the price of food, but also the price of renting rooms, again, that already exist on this campus. So that is the question I pose to you. Are we gonna have any kind of inroads to have the conversation about the prices that are going on? Because it really is hurting on-campus events, period. It's something that I, again, am hearing all the way up through from students to faculty to staff to more. I think that Advisor Stelco could corroborate that. So that is kind of the conversation I guess I would pose to you. Are we going to be able to afford to have events on campus again?
So I would say definitely like to have an aside conversation with that to get some more specific details. But I would say when you get something off of campus, and this just a general question, if you were to buy, I don't know, what's someplace you guys go from? Give me an example.
Probably China.
Okay, so when you go there, right? Are you having it delivered?
I believe we're picking it up.
So you're picking it up, so it's not coming to campus, you're getting in your car and going to get it. So that's part of the thing, service of convenience of having there is part of it, but also if you have to tip or if you have to do any of these other things, they may also charge you for various other things on that ticket, like, I don't know, neighborhood. I don't know, do you guys pay tax when you buy stuff from here?
I'm not going to have to soon, but normally as this semester we have, but not normally.
So
They're incorporated, so apartments don't pay that.
So there's little variations like that play into it, but primarily the way we price things is we literally look around the area and try and price accordingly. But happy to have a discussion about specifics, like the cereal is a good example. I'm certainly gonna look into that. But very happy to have that discussion.
I appreciate it. You have big shoes to fill. We look forward to working with you.
And I would encourage if people do have specific questions to bring them to Senator Kearns and also connect you guys together. I'm now looking for one last question. Senator Collins.
I think this is a larger problem that I heard a lot about as well, is the way that the meal plan dollars work, the dining dollars work, where they kind of just disappear at the end of the year. I know that if you don't spend them, then they just roll back in, and then it makes sense from the perspective that they have committed to paying that much, so it's the amount of money that has been spent already, most likely. But I think the larger criticism is that it doesn't roll over to the next year for the student. So like if I had the meal plan with $1,390, and then at the end of that year, I had 500 left. That 500 wouldn't roll over into say my senior year, it would just disappear, and then I get the new, if I keep that plan, the new 1,300, and that 500 would just kind of be gone. So I wasn't sure if there was any discussions that you guys ever had on that end, or.
So part of the meal plan structure costs, and I will say this, and I'd be interested if you guys find one. This is general, a genuine question. Google any college, I would be hard pressed to find one that rolls from year to year like that. I've worked at many, none have. And the reason why, in fact, UMass Amherst doesn't allow students to use there's no meal exchanges in their retail. It's just meal plan and retail. I found that fascinating. I can't believe they get away with that. But the reason why the meal plan is structured at the price it is with a lot of assumptions. It's on assumptions that you may or may not use all those meals. You may or may not use all of your swipes. But if you do, that option is available to you. And so it's very often we find, like at the end of the year, students will buy like a bunch of stuff to take with them to use up those dollars, which is your right to do. But it's very hard to gauge how much each student will use in a semester. So we use it on basic industry norms of what people do. I can say I hear you. I just don't know if anything will happen with that anytime soon, because that is how the meal plan structure is all kind of built in.
Oh, great. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you spending your time to communicate this.
Thank you for this time.
Of course.
Thank you.
Also, the club guest speakers are allowed to name any speeches. We'll now be moving on to our next guest speaker, Joel Farley, the Director of Facilities Management.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Farley. I am the new Associate Vice President for Facilities and Operations. Just had my seventh month anniversary, so my learning curve is still fairly steep. I did my undergraduate work here. We'll tell you things have changed since since then. I'm really grateful to be here tonight, mostly because I need to learn more. I want to hear from you. I really hope you have some good dialogue. Got a conversation. We booked for half an hour. We went for about 2 hours.
Yes.
Pretty broad ranging. So I'll do what I can tonight to field your questions. I really don't have a prepared presentation. There's a lot. There are a lot of challenges. I will tell you, prior to coming into this role, I was at Jackson Lab for 10 years. And then 10 years at Eastman Medical Center. And then 10 years at Northern Light Health, the system at Eastern Maine and 9 other hospitals. So really similar roles. And all of those capacities. When we had our broad ranging conversation, generally, we talked about, concerns about lighting on campus, pedestrian safety. We talked about some parking issues, we talked about a few other things. So I really came here for a listening session. I'll do what I can to answer questions. And again, learn from you as much, as the share. I'll be honest, I think I'm fairly bright. But, I can't see things from everybody's perspective. It's the old analogy, it's like the three blind people and the elephant. I'm on one end of the elephant, I don't see necessarily all of it. So, where would you like to start? Please be kind though.
Representative Emery?
Yeah, like first, I really want to thank you for being here. I think that this is, an initiative of UMSG that I really respect is having these difficult conversations, I think, and bridging gaps. It's very important. Like as the president of the Student Heritage Alliance Council and the president of Franco-American Resource Opportunity, it's, building bridges, I think is absolutely vital to what I do as well. And really, I think like a really important place for me to start with this is the current events with Cross Hall have been the biggest thing on my plate this semester, as you guys are aware. Really, I just wanted to know where you guys are at, specifically with the process.
Sure. Ryan Woods here, he's our director of space planning and capital management. Was it space planning capital? He's a space and capital management. So let me just start off with I get it, there's a lot of passion about this. I would fair to say, and folks may not agree with me, that we're committed to the Franco-American program. A little background on me, my dad was a Methodist minister and did 18 years of Sunday school with no probation. When they sold the church in front of the church, people were very upset. And he told them, look, the church is not the building. The church is the congregation. The American program is not close to the ball. So I think it's fair to say that although there's a lot of passion about the building itself, the time, the investment that we're making in maintaining the Franco-American program, I think that needs to be part of the dialogue. So although we might have passion about the building or how things are happening, if we weren't committed to the Franco-American program, this would be a different conversation. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay.
And I really appreciate your candor with all this. I think it's, that's all really valuable, I think. And really where I'm coming from with this, I think is even beyond like a Franco-American issue. I think it goes into, like a deeply Maine issue of preserving these structures. We go over to Europe and see these buildings that have lasted for thousands of years. And that's something to strive to, I think, even, more broadly as a society. So I hope that we can, move towards something like that.
You say that and I brought my undergrad here in Maine, I was in Glasgow. And I was going to school at the University of Glasgow and I walked on going, this school is older than my country. It makes an impact. And I'm glad that they maintained that. Beautiful campus. Tough city, but that's another conversation. So yeah, we're committed to saving what we can. There's value in the history of those that came before us, in the buildings and the institutions that they built. And I feel a responsibility to respect what those who came before us done, and not to just wipe it off, and not try to harvest and maintain those buildings. So
Now, to follow up on Rosalind specifically, and by the way, thank you for coming to my office there, but I'm not there, I really do appreciate having that conversation. Rosalind itself is an old building, it's gone through several modifications and renovations over the years. We did do our due diligence, we talked about this, about going to the Historical Society Preservation Commission in the state of Maine, and they found that there was no historical value to the building, even though it is old. We have that official letter, you provided that as well. So, it wasn't done, it was a
it's not as spiraling different type of thing, and it's not, even before I was here, it was identified as a building for removal. Because of the condition that it is in, and over the years that it doesn't hold that historical value, that while it was originally constructed in 1933, I think it was, most of that is not there anymore. So I think there's that about the building and understanding that, you know, passion around that. We do care about our historical buildings. We do have a historical district. We do want to improve our buildings. And we do want to spend, quite frankly, your money wisely in those buildings and so forth. So, you know, I really do listen and I do hear what you're saying. And back to the resolution that you had brought about communication, I welcome that. I hope we do this a lot more, actually. I would love to come here monthly, quarterly, whatever, to talk about projects.
Yeah, you want to get us on a cadence?
Yeah, it's really, yeah.
Honestly, what's the dog?
So, yeah, it's great because, like Joel said earlier, hearing your perspectives is something that we don't always get, and that is something that is missing from these. So we definitely look forward to additional conversations, and we know they're not all going to be easy conversations, and rightfully so, they shouldn't be. These are multi-million-dollar projects that's going on campus, and they're the rightful discussions of how does this improve your education are things that we should be talking about.
We take our responsibility very seriously. I mean, I work in the school. I know many of you guys over the summer, you pick a job, waiting tables, roofing, working on the lobster boat, rigging, whatever. You know, and our families make sacrifices. So we take our responsibility with what we've been given, the resources, the time and treasure, very seriously. And I've got 5 boys. I'm talking paying for college. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
I think okay, so for the Senate, we'll be discussing all things Crossland Hall and Spruce Bud Lab later during our communication, our act to urge. And I think that it's fine if we want to keep going here. I just don't know how forward we're gonna get without having specific questions. So my question to you all, myself and Vice President Shelmerdine went and spoke with Dr. Angela Meck of the Spruce Bud Lab, and she is just simply beside herself by the fact that there has been no communication. She doesn't believe that the lab is being taken care of. She doesn't know what's happening next. And whether that is true or not, and I think that students have found themselves in this unfortunate situation where we're being passed along and told something different every time we talk to somebody new. And that is absolutely true. And now I'm at the point where I don't even know where fact lies, but I guess I would have a hard time knowing who does and how we got to this point to have communication dissolve so much. So I think that we've come very far on this process. I think that we've seen a lot of mistakes and missteps across the board. And I think that what we really need to have a conversation is about how we don't let something like this happen again.
So I'm the new guy, and we've had a conversation here. Okay. It's always good to learn from your mistakes. It's better to learn from somebody else's mistakes, but we have to learn from this. How did we get here? What could we have done previously to either communicate better with all stakeholders, with more potential to this complete or more transparent? Much of what we have to do is, I look at my job, and there's a problem, I need to go to my boss and say, here's 3 solutions. A, B, and C, and run up the pros and cons of each. And then she makes the decision, or she recommends it and moves up the chain. Developing those 3 scenarios sometimes is a little messy, and so there's a timing here, I guess is what I'm saying. I can't kind of make the sausage publicly, but at some point we got to get it out there. So I hear you. I think that we need to do better, and this is part of that process. Coming in here, pretty much naked, and I'll let you guys take your questions and answer them as best we can. As far as the spruce bloodworm lab, the spruce bloodworm lab, and how those folks feel they were communicated with, we can work directly with them. Because I don't want to get in a situation where I'm speaking for somebody, through somebody, just as the things that we maybe wanted to communicate probably could have come directly from us rather than through the lens of another stakeholder.
I think, and just, again, we could probably sit here for hours, and I'm trying to figure out how we resolve this in action forward, so that we don't have to sit there.
So,
Right. You don't want to, I promise you, no one wants to say something, so. I guess later tonight, student government is gonna be passing a resolution likely, I guess I shouldn't speak for the Senate, but likely will pass a resolution as urging the immediate delay of this whole process until these people who have come to us, faculty, staff, and students alike, dismayed, asking us to do something, which is a really unfortunate position to be put in, because I have sent emails to administrators asking for us to sit around a room and been told no. I have, we pushed for the website that was released, we appreciate it. And I think that we're learning what are the best practices, and these are things that we can move forward, and that's all positive to me. But I guess my only question would be, if the student body and the general public right now, from what we understand, feels like the due diligence in the boxes were not checked, and we pass a resolution and that comes to your desk probably tomorrow, that says, here's all the things that we've heard, here's all the people we've talked to, here's all the people who would not talk to us. Are we going to be able to be part of that dialogue moving forward? And are we going to hear anything about it, or is this going to fall into the same circle of silence that we've been stuck in?
So, just a couple of brief points, and Brian was to address this as well. There's a process, there's a chain of command. I don't have authority to make some of these larger policy decisions. There's a chain of command. We've got a president, we've got a board of trustees. I got a boss. I report to the chief financial officer, Jane Gordon, a very nice person. She's new too. So there's a process, a decision making. There are certain things that I do have the authority to do. In my job, there's some things I don't. So whatever comes out of here needs to go through that process. Decision making folks, and something at this level probably definitely go beyond me. The other piece I just want to throw out here is none of these items listen back to it. Right. Many of the things that have kind of been brought forward are part of enabling projects for other things. So if we pull, one out, say, oh, we're not gonna do that, then the downstream impacts can be pretty significant. And it's just so, again, nothing stands alone. If we were to not do spruce bloodworm, or move it to Deering, how would that impact the soils lab? What does that mean for renovations to ESL? What does that mean for the congressional directed funding that has been designated for the spruce bloodworm program? We can't spend that money. It's $600,000. $600,000 we've got through Senator Collins' office to upgrade the spruce bloodworm lab. Great. I can't change the wheel on the car at 50 miles an hour going down the road. You can't renovate that building where they currently are with them in it. So, I'm not trying to overly complicate things, but there many things that are interrelated here. We can go in.
Can I follow up on that a little bit more specifically? When it comes to the spruce bloodworm CDS, congressionally delegated spending, that was submitted over about a year ago for approval, and that was the second time that was submitted. I didn't submit that. That was submitted with the work of the spruce bloodworm lab to improve the lab. So we don't make decisions in a vacuum without discussions. We have been working with leadership. We have been working with department leadership from the beginning. Unfortunately, I think that one of the big missteps is we didn't communicate well to the students. I think it's something that your resolution addresses and is very important that we address. But in the overall vacuum, and to Joel's point, it wasn't a this is what we're doing tomorrow, type of thing. There was a lot of discussions and so forth. Regarding back to your original question about if you have a resolution tonight, where will that go? Well, like Joel said, we don't have the authority to say stops right here. That's quite frankly the president, Jenny, and so forth. So we will obviously pass that along if that's what it happens. And they'll basically proceed or not, I'm not sure. From your question earlier, Alex, you asked about where are we in the process. Currently, there is an agenda sheet that's been submitted for the Board of Trustees that will be voted on, I believe, next week. That's for the North Campus improvements. That includes parking and lots of other infrastructure improvements for the North Campus. So we can talk about that as well if you want additional information there. And we also have information on a lot of projects that, quite frankly, you should be aware of. So
It's a lot going on out there. This place needs some love. This really does.
Yeah. And boy, do I love it. I just think that, please. I just think that when, in terms of the car going 50 miles an hour, I don't know how we got to 50 miles an hour so quickly without people in the car realizing it. I think that that's where we're at. I don't think that anybody's done anything with malice. And frankly, I am one of the very, VP Shelmerdine can attest, who really understands the financial infrastructure situation our university, as much as we love it, is in. It's not a good one. And I think that we've had those conversations pretty frankly several times. We're having a lot of conversations now about bringing in that transparency that we've been very grateful to have now with working relationships and building meaningful infrastructure. And I think that really is the conversation we need to have. How do we build meaningful student infrastructure so that we can be there in parts of these conversations? That said, this isn't a student side of things. There are faculty and staff members that are feeling this way. So I appreciate it. And I think that there's not really much more that we can solve in this room. But like, I think that the student body is a lot more aware of what is going on than I think maybe administration understands. And I think that we really do need to be considered as stakeholders a little bit more. I think that that is just where I'm going to come down. I'm student body president, a little cliche, but I think that it's just been very frustrating on our end, having to feel like detectives and talking between people as students. And so I would just encourage you, I think that on our end, we're making a lot of progress. We're building in that update form. We have access to the annual call. We're having real conversations, not just on committees about infrastructure, but also decisions that are being made. That is all awesome and great. I guess part of what our frustration is too is like, that work needs to be done with faculty and staff too. And as much as I agree that there is a lot of siloing and there are a lot of decision makers, I've talked to everyone that has been mentioned and they've all referred me to another one of you. So it is just a circle of, is truly, and it sounds like it's frustrating for everybody on your guys' end too. So it sounds like we all do need to collaboratively have a conversation about how we can get a through line here.
My email is Joel, it's really hard, Joel.Farley. My personal cell phone, I only have one, 207-217-7770. Please let me get some sleep, but feel free. I will try to answer your questions.
Yeah.
I may not be able to, or I may not give you the answer you want, but at least I'll tell you the truth as I know it, as I'm able to.
That's all we can ask for.
But to your other point though, to your resolution earlier, about communication, I really hope tonight's the first night of many, and the start of that communication process. Really good.
Senator Sparks.
Yes, so thank you for coming. For Crossing Hall, there are a lot of things in the works, and I understand that that whole process has kind of been messy with communication going forward. Can you explain kind of how the decisions and these processes of these decisions work for those who don't know, and then kind of what steps you think that you could get us involved in as students?
Sure. So the decisions on, or the recommendations, because the decision ultimately will be the board of trustees. One, what we ultimately do for this building. That process has been going on for quite a while. It predates me, Brian. You can probably speak better to some of these things. I know that in my office, we've been working on, okay, how are we gonna do this? Again, making the sausage, so, I'm civil engineer construction. So I'm looking at schedules, okay, this is enabling in order to do A, in order to do F, you've got to do A, B, C. How do we do that? How do we sequence it? Part of the decision making, the approvals, the permit is part of it. And this is, in my mind, the permission from the board of directors or board of trustees, just as I need to get permission from the Orno planning board for certain things we want to do, or the DPP, if I want to expand a parking lot. So that's part of it. I'm not trying to answer around your question, but I answer what I can. This goes back to some master planning.
Yeah, the master planning went back, and University of Maine's master plan is 0809 is out of date. And it was back then, it was identified for relocation, removal, wasn't deemed historical at that time. Prior to my coming to the position that I am now, it was added to a demolish that goes back quite a ways. It was reported to the board of trustees a few years ago as potential identification, as well as other buildings on campus. I think one of the things that we are learning, and I kind of would like to speak to your direct question about how students can be more involved, is 4 years ago, 5 years ago, university had one large project. It was the Berlin Engineering Center, and it was the first project they'd done probably in 10, 20 years of any size. We have, what do I got going on right now? 120 capital projects, 25 which are over $500,000. We have over $1 billion structurally on currently for plan. So most of my department, including myself and my position, they're new in the last 4 to 5 years. I think where these projects are now, they finally going into construction and so over the last couple of years. That's the piece of, if you guys have been more involved in the beginning in the communication, a lot of miscommunication could have been avoided. I think this first step, the resolution that you passed, and we come back to that about communication is a good idea. And I think that time working with you guys, we can hopefully develop something. Make sure that you guys are more involved. And we hear you more.
Yeah, I think it's been, and you just have to take my word on it. The sin of omission and not exclusion. Yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to them. It's like, man, we got so much stuff going on. Boom, 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 boom. Did we hold a public forum? Did we think to do that? Nope. Okay, let's learn from our mistakes. God, there's so much going on that we need to, quite frankly, this is a generational investment in this campus. If you look back over the last 100 years, there are periods when we made major investments. In the 1930s, part of that was through the works products of FDR and reinvesting in infrastructure is a way to get people working. Major construction happened here. After World War II, there was major investment. Then, for the baby boom generation, 60s and 70s, into the 80s, really haven't done much since. So it's kind of our turn. I say that our by all of us, that this is a time for major infusion of capital. We get it. The place needs some love. Tell me, I'm on the maintenance crews. Okay, I've been crawling around here and seeing deferred maintenance and boilers that need to be replaced, air handlers and building controls and windows and roofs and doors. Oh my. And we are working with our leadership here and across the state, quite frankly, to do these major reinvestments in our infrastructure. It's more busy and sometimes we make mistakes.
I think a lot of, it's a lot of work, but also a lot of information that needs to be shared regularly. For example, we have limited information currently for our building assessments. One is Gordian. I'm sure you guys have been hearing a little bit about that. Gordian does provide an annual update. When we get our FY25 update, I'd love to bring it here and meet it and go over you. But to look at the FY24, we have $1.1 billion of deferred maintenance. That's with a lot of zeros, unfortunately. And that is like for like the construction of I know there's a lot of terms of understanding from an engineering standpoint. Our additional costs would have to include that quite a bit, so. You live in the residential hall, we could take care of all the deferred maintenance, but you'll walk into it, you'll see the same residence hall. Because it's not modernized, new windows probably, plugins that don't trip breakers, but those type of things, so keep going, yeah.
In regards to the Gordon report that he just mentioned, that is already in the Senate space, and that is what I briefed on, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And if you have any questions regarding that, I will try and answer them as well as I can, or you can refer back to the two presentations that are in the Senate space. Now, I'll be looking for I'll entertain 2 more questions for our speaker. Senator Cowan.
So this is a very different topic, not about Crosland Hall, and something I haven't really felt has been addressed in several years, but about bathroom equity on campus and kind of what that looks like. There are a lot of bathrooms on campus that are single stall, one room, gendered bathrooms, which makes everybody's experience so much more difficult. Because I'm on a floor and there's just a gendered bathroom, and now I have to go up 2 more floors to get to a bathroom I can use. And that's a complaint I've heard from a lot of students in a lot of different departments, specifically sciences, because I find that that's where a lot of those bathrooms are. Could there be more effort put into reevaluating those bathrooms?
I'll answer it a little bit. There is a way actually to petition for that, and I don't remember what it is, but I do know there is a way. It's been a couple of years. Usually what we get for, and I'll say this in previous years, when I was on the operations side of things, we would get a request to look at a bathroom to potentially make it gender neutral. We would analyze the building and see, in your case, like what you were talking about, if it's a 1-stall bathroom, well, we're not changing the number of stalls or availability, then we could potentially do that. So I think I'll follow up with them on trying to get that contact information. I just off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is, but there is a way to do that and submit that. We're everywhere, but we don't see everything, especially from your point of view. So bringing those requests in, we certainly do look at those.
Yeah, and try to prioritize, yes, believe me, in my 7 months here, there, I would. Okay, not only that, we're a little constrained. If we start doing major renovations, by code, how many for building occupants, how many modes and so forth we have to have. There's ADA issues, there's just general rundown, shoddy, old 1957 bathrooms. And we're working on it, we're trying to do what we can.
But to your point though, if it's a single use bathroom, there is a way, it's really just changing the signage.
I did just one point to that.
That's okay.
Okay. Also, at one point in time, I believe the university had a published list of all gender neutral bathrooms on campus. Is there any possibility that a list like that can become available to students again?
Yeah, I believe that list still exists, and I think it would. Thank you, Lori.
It's on the campus map.
Yes.
It's a part that they just redid the campus map, and it should be accurate on that campus map.
Thank you.
Andy from my team is here. Andy, is Lori answered?
Exactly, Lori, thank you.
You're welcome, Andy.
Senator St. Pierre.
I have a question for regarding the bus service. Is that under your purview?
It's actually.
So yeah, what if you I asked have a question then?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and this could be like it's more general about public transportation, so it could apply to both of your departments. Because we've talked a lot about the parking issues, which is tied to, there's been student complaints about it. It's involved in the crossing problem as well, because that would be replaced with a parking lot. And one thing I found with the bus service that I've used a couple times this semester is that I think it's a great investment that the university has. And I think that maybe it could be made better by running more frequently or running later into the night. And I know there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I think that there's some avenues like that could help with reducing the demand on parking. And not only with a bus program, but I was wondering if the university has ever considered having programs such as like bike sharing or I'll use a specific example. I went to visit a friend who transferred to Colorado State, and they have a system where they have electric scooters. And I don't even think it's run by the university. They contract a separate company to do it. So I don't think it really is much headache for them at all.
New York City.
Because students can pay for an account. I don't know for the students of the university, because when I went, I had to pay for and get the app myself because I'm not a student. But it was relatively cheap and you could take the scooters anywhere, not only around campus, but to, for example, like Orchard Trails, the Ave, many of the apartment complexes that have a large chunk of students living on them, even into downtown Orono. That could help them with business. Students who don't have a car could easily get downtown and go to a restaurant or something like that. So I think that I was just wondering if there's been any discussion about other public transportations, not only enhancing the bus service, but considering other alternatives as well.
I personally did this conversation, but I don't know anything about
Dan Dixon, who is our sustainability gentleman on campus. We've had those discussions with him, with bike share programs, scooter programs. So we should engage him in a conversation to tell us where we're at, and he does grant working at it as well. So I'd be more happy to work that out with you with the parking and whatever. Go ahead.
Just a point of information about this. A few years ago, oh gosh, 4 years ago, we were talking about this with Michael DeLorge in your office about the scooters.
Old Town did it.
Old Town did it. Yeah. So, well, yeah, we can continue that conversation probably through the services committee.
Quick follow up about that.
All done.
There is a,
Senator St. Pierre.
well, thank you. At a
No.
recent, no.
No, that's a larger comment.
Okay.
Can I just say one quick thing? We do have a website that we update quarterly. And basically, if you Google University of Maine capital construction updates, they'll bring you to that. We do try to update it fairly regularly. But I think it'd be a great start. And I hope to have more conversations on projects as well as future plans. Thank you.
And in closing, for erring on the side of transparency, is there a project that either one of you are working on that you're excited about? That you're
Yeah, there are. You know, when I first started here over the summer, I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do that's gonna have an impact? And this might not sound sexy, but I would like to get the pathways of the mall paved. You know, what if some person who's got a mobility challenge, you're trying to get from Aubert to the Union to get a cup of coffee, and maybe you're in a wheelchair, get over the humps and bumps. We're gonna do some significant pavings because we get it on parking, guys, and believe me, we get it. We hear you, live it, get it on parking. If I can find the money to pave those pathways, you know, it's not as sexy as some other things, but that would make me feel like I've done something that had a positive impact on the day-to-day life of a union student.
That's also part of the Northern Campus Infrastructure agenda sheet that's with the Board of Trustees as part of that plan. Project that I'm working on that I'm most excited about is the Boardman renovation and modernization. It's really the first building on campus that's going to go through a major renovation and modernization. And I find it very interesting because of the challenges. Fortunately, it's going to be extremely impactful to research students, academics and so forth, working through those logistics, but understanding that as the first step, hopefully addressing our deferred maintenance at a large scale. So, and that's one building, that's one project that right now is in programming. And also a project that I think we could certainly, in a month or two, certainly have a follow up very detailed discussion on as well.
Well, thank you guys for coming, please. And moving on for next semester, I'd love to connect you guys closer with our services chair to help with this type of communication.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go. Maybe we started the meeting yet, you know that. Alright, that's fair. There we are.
Seeing nothing else, other guest speakers, we'll be starting with the executive reports with President Trent.
All right, guys. Big meeting ahead of us. Thank you guys for your executive evaluations. They've been helpful in both where to improve and also how we can do better communicating about our jobs themselves. To start, I got a question about whether or not the president can refuse to sign something that is fully passed through the Senate and cabinet. The answer is no. I can't do that. Neither of us have veto power. Good question. I don't even want that. That's not so good. Another thing to kind of point out, just to put some kind of context behind what I asked earlier, according to Advisor Stelka, the Asian buffet, so the equivalent, Sodexo equivalent of the food that we got tonight, is $25 per person. So we would have paid plus cutlery and fees around $1,125 tonight. How much did we actually pay? Does anybody know?
Just under 3, I believe.
Right.
Before tip.
So I had no idea that it was almost 4 times as much to just bring it where it needs to go. So anyway, the conversation needs to continue, and it's not just the prices on campus. I also want to welcome our new IFC representative, Dominic Brunner. Hello. We are very excited to have both of our new Greek life representatives here tonight. And we should definitely set up a meeting between the two of us, you two, and our vice president of student organizations, probably by the end of the semester, but if we can't swing it, sometime right at the beginning of the next one. Moving on to old business. I am working on an agenda restructuring act, or we're bringing that forward, which would get students requesting funds out of here much quicker. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. I think maybe it would be helpful and appreciate it. Moving into the syllabus bank update. GSG passed their resolution in support, which means we are 2/3 of the way there. I met today with Provost Paquette, Associate Provost Marzilli, and Chair of the Academic Affairs Committee of the Faculty Senate this morning to discuss next steps. The Faculty Senate Academic Affairs Committee has requested a follow-up from the Provost about a 2023 resolution that passed before anything can move forward. I have no idea what that's about, and that is entirely Faculty Senate politics, so I'm going to be figuring that out. In addition, Provost Paquette and Associate Provost Marzilli will be reaching out to their colleagues ahead of an implementation task force to learn about best practices. And I will need to be putting together a task force to review syllabus. Essentially, we're going to be looking at syllabi, determining what information is vital, and kind of working together to put together what will be kind of an abridged syllabi, which is not a full syllabi, but it's going to be much better than the catalog, and a full syllabi is still going to be an option. But anyway, I need a group of students that are interested in helping me do that. So if you are interested in that, this probably won't take place until next semester, but please let me know because I want to make sure I have that group ready to go whenever that ball drops. And again, still waiting for that ball to drop. Moving into something else, I'll be working on model bylaws for the RA representative board. We still haven't really figured out what that's going to be called yet, and I'll be getting that to those folks over the break. That won't kick up until next semester anyway, but that's something that I'm going to have done before we start so that we can hit the ground running and get them started with their 7 weeks. I had my second presidential advisory committee meeting on administrative excellence. I'm working through how to best participate during some very administrative conversations, such as payroll functions. Not going to be as helpful there, but how we can also center student problems in a room full of faculty and staff. We ranked all of the priorities of things from like first priority, second priority, third priority out of like 20 things. One of those things on there was student communication. Only the students ranked it anywhere. We both ranked it first. So, you can see how that doesn't exactly bode for an immediate inroad on that issue, but I assure you, myself and Vice President Emerson of the Graduate Student Government will be continuing that discussion. As for new business, I only have one thing. The Student Trustee Selection Committee, we got a communication from the chair of the Board of Trustees, Trish Riley, about kicking this up. That being said, myself and Representative Britton have been having conversations in the background, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we will be spending our winter break doing that, super exciting, and making sure that we can actually transition the student trustees for the first time. I thought I was done with this 4 years ago. I'm not. So if anybody's interested in kind of knowing what that's about and helping with that, I would appreciate some eyes, and it might be nice to carry it over. But right now, me and Olivia are kind of the only ones that have the long-term background in all of this. So it has kind of fallen to us, not only as representatives of the Orono the Orono student body, but to kind of carry this forward for all the students in the UMaine system. So I don't know how that'll turn out, and I hope it'll turn out well. But if that is the case, we will be doing a essentially a hiring committee / finding a candidate process right at the beginning of next semester too. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're interested in being a student trustee, that's an option. That is the end of my report.
Moving on from my report, I wanted to thank everyone for all your constructive conversation we had. I know that was a very long start of a meeting, and this is the first in-person meeting we've had for the past 2 weeks because of the odd schedule that we've had. But I hope you guys recognize the importance it was having those guest speakers, because I've been trying to have them, but unfortunately with the day that we did not meet quorum, I did not want to waste that opportunity to have them speak and for them to be able to get the feedback directly from you all. Last week, President Tripp and I attended the Greek Gala where we saw the Pan-Hellenic and IMC president sworn in, and that was an honor to see. I attended our last senior admin meeting on Thursday where I talked about the act of urge regarding communication and if there is any feedback on it from the upper level admin, because ironically, we did not hear anything back. And we didn't get any feedback from that meeting as well. There was no comment from President Freddie Mundy, but she said that we'll get an official letter soon. And so I'm hoping that's later this week. I brought up the services night walk in that meeting and presented the map of the broken lights that was put together by the committee. So thank you for that. Then they appreciated that a lot. They were all pleased with the work that our services chair had done for this initiative, and so am I. Regarding the student pay, at the time of the meeting on Thursday, the meeting with HR was supposed to happen that Tuesday, but was canceled due to the snowstorm. And the BPFA had yet to hear back. However, they did meet later in the week, and the list of questions that Senator St. Pierre had will be answered by them by the end of the week. And that was reiterated in the meeting that VP Bowman and I had with BPFA Boynton on Monday, where I further discussed this issue, and it looks like all the tiers will increase. But the exact amount is yet to be determined, and that information will be in the email I'm still waiting on. The MCEC Student Advisory Board will be submitting a first draft to the dean this Friday, and then the final report will be edited and submitted by me next Friday. I'm very excited for this, and I'm proud of everyone who's helped contribute to this board, and I will share the report in the Senate space so everyone gets an idea of the challenges and changes that we'll be asking to make to the engineering college and how that might look for all the other colleges. A large portion of this board is the Career and Industry Committee that has been created and spearheaded by Senator Moore. And I wanted to acknowledge all the work that he's put into this initiative as he set a great example for his peers. To go over some of the exec evals, there was a question about the dress code. And so I did enforce this a little bit heavier than our past chair. But I will be more so enforcing it next semester. So it's business casual, and the only exclusion to that is if you're wearing UMaine merch, but it must be nice UMaine merch. You're supposed to attend these meetings as a professional and as we conduct ourselves and represent the student body. And so that's what I expect out of all of you. And as a reminder, if you do not, our sergeant at arms will kick you out. Another question was, how does the president and VP complement one another? And so the president is more external and works on issues for the student body as a whole, while the VP represents UMSG. And so this works its way through any type of conversation or discourse through things like the main campus is typically the president. The president also speaks for the entire student body, while I only speak for you guys, as I am the direct relationship from Senate to execs. And so there's more questions about what does behind the scenes when I say like I'm more behind the scenes, he's more in the front. And so I thought I would clarify that with you all. So behind the scenes and what that means is meeting with admin for the senior admin meetings, as well as the one-on-one meetings that Keegan has set up this year with the president. We have our meetings with Lori and Andrea. That also includes with mine and Keegan's job is the management of execs, management of senators. There's the staff meetings for our full-time employees. I also do committee chair management to make sure that all the committees are up to date and fully working on the projects that they say they are. And making sure things are all set for running the meetings. And so that includes the things that I sent out to you guys, files for the night. There was a comment that people were hoping that information might come out sooner. With the way that things are structured, all the information and funding or whatnot goes to BJ, and that has set deadlines, and that deadline is by Tuesday. So I get all the information, like say an hour before I send it out to all of you. And things that might prevent me from sending them out sooner than that for you guys to review is the fact that we have those previous deadlines that I can't bypass because I don't have that information. And also during the day I'm in class, and most of the time when I'm sending out files for tonight's meeting, I'm doing that while I'm in class and I'm technically supposed to be doing it. And so that's why you saw tonight, I sent it around like 4:30, I believe. And that's just because I had a full class day schedule and I couldn't interrupt my class periods. So I do understand the sentiment of people wanting that information sooner. And that's something I can look into for next semester, but currently that's not something I can do. Moving forward, this Friday, I have the last space committee meeting of the semester, and I will send out any materials like I did for the last meeting. And thank you again. We'll now be moving on to the Vice President of Financial Affairs.
Good evening, everyone. Our starting projected and allocated figure for tonight is $124,000, or $124,626.32. We have a return to allocated of $20.02 from Computer Club for their hackathon. That was EBC 129. No transfers, no budget lines added. We have Patch Entomology Club who requested an office budget of $200. It's going to the consent agenda. No other resolutions for the consent agenda. Resolutions to Senate tonight, we have Maine Steiners for $2,000, which you'll hear a presentation on when we get to it. And that's the end of my traditional report. I will go on to an additional report tonight to make comments on the executive evaluations. So I want to clarify a few things. The first is that somebody mentioned percentages that I mentioned during the student employee pay raises, how I mentioned a figure of 1% and a figure of 7.3%. 1% is the amount of the raise itself. And so the difference between the next semester and semester pay, those figures, that was 1%. 7.3% is the total undergraduate student worker pay. And that's the percentage that payroll makes up of our allocated as opposed to the amount that would be raised by. So I wanted to clarify that. Next, when we start the pie charts, they're still being made. I've been making them for Keegan's or for President Tripp's admin meetings, but the chart isn't and hasn't changed that much since the last presentation that I gave, even though it's been a while. But I do intend to give a presentation at the start of next semester, just so everyone can reacquaint themselves with their financial situation before we get rolling on next semester's financial resolutions. And then some further clarification on specific questions. I do not inspect the funds of our student organizations. Organizations manage their own funds through their treasurer. But I do know of mismanagement when they end up on a delinquent list if they fall behind in paying back certain departments of the university. There's a general campus-wide resource where we can see those who haven't been able to pay back receipts that are owed. In regards to my role as FEPC supervisor, I mainly just sign FEPC Stankowicz's payroll verification form. But if you ever have an issue with them, you can always come to me. Not that you will. And then again, when I receive our official activities peers installments, I will let you know. And I'll report it just as I do in my typical report. Just today, we received our second installment figure this morning, but I just want to make sure that we send it back to the purchase office so they review the number, just to make sure that I'm presenting accurate information to you all as best as I can. And then finally, there was a question on how it is determined how it is determined if clubs receiving too much versus too little support. And so that's made by the members of EDC. In this case, that would be VP Shelmerdine, President Tripp, VPSO Thompson, and then the 4 senators who are elected to the position. They make that decision. And they make the decision based on amendments that they make to the request that is submitted before it comes before Senate. These amendments are usually based on historical positions and funding amounts, meaning how much we funded the requesting club in the past, how much we funded similar clubs in the past, and how an allocated figure looked when those funds were previously given out. And as a final note, I know that not all of you are able to be present during last week's evaluation meeting, so if you feel like you missed your chance to let me know your thoughts on how I approach my role will be, feel free to email me or schedule a meeting and we can discuss it then and report.
Vice President, Student Organizations.
Hey guys, SOC had a busy week at our last meeting of the semester, as you can see by the first half of the agenda. We didn't disperse any club storage, so every club we met with was on the agenda. We also made the decision to consider the Honors College Student Activities Board name change and bylaw update to reflect their new model. We have a new rep for that, Representative Pellet, as Senator Collmore has introduced. I'll be sending their bylaws to the chat once I update them on campus groups, so anyone who's interested in their structure can read through. I think it's very interesting. The board itself will not be full force holding meetings until after their elections next semester, but I thought it was important to establish them within UMSG in the meantime so that they can hit the ground running and start reporting on anything important that arises within the college or with the Maine Day meal pack out, etc. I had the opportunity to read through my exec evals, and I wanted to thank everyone for filling those out, as it is really valuable information. I wanted to answer one question, which was, where are the club storage lockers? They're in the back of the Weight Center next to the UMSG offices. I also want to address one of the more common themes I saw, which was that I needed to report on what I was doing more. I tried to keep my reports concise in the past, but in doing so, I did not properly communicate the less visible details of my job. So I'll be working on being more forthcoming about what I do behind the scenes in my reports. Also, if you're a rep and you know you're not returning next semester and you know you have someone set up to take your place, please reach out to me. For Panhandle and IFC, I'm going to come talk to you guys during the 5-minute recess so we can set up a meeting with Keegan. And with that, I hope everyone has a great break and I look forward to hitting the ground running next semester. The report.
Vice President of Student Entertainment.
Hey everyone, first off, thank you to Senators Vanderwood, DeLorme, Dana, and Elliott for helping hand out the Beat UNH t-shirts. While we may not have had success on the handing out the shirts was a huge success. Students were very excited to get the shirts and they absolutely loved the design. In fact, we were all done with handing them out before the game even started, even though we had 800 shirts, so that was very cool. We had 376 tickets at Blackbird Cinema last week. That's a lot, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. There wasn't that many the week before, as it was Thanksgiving break, and there were a lot of movies out, or like new movies out last week that were like big ticket items. So I think that that's the only reason that happened. And also, make sure that we posted about it today on the Instagram, but make sure to tell your friends and people that we do not do the Blackbird Cinemas during break. That's just something we've always done. But it will be continued back up when we come back for the spring. So tell your friends to also keep using it in the spring. We will be purchasing stress toys, and I was told that maybe we could also do some like pencils and pens for spinal survival kits. So make sure to tell all your friends about that if they need anything for final survival kits, especially stress toys, because those are a big seller, but not actually being sold. They're free. Remember that. But I think that is this Sunday in Fogler, so stop by. I have a concert update. I can finally announce this. We are planning to have the concert at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor, pending signed contracts. That sentence was approved by Sean. Once contracts are signed, we will make a larger announcement to the student body with a date, hopefully. And I can answer any questions any of you have about that decision, but that was a long process. And then I'm also looking to do a sort of workshop with contracting with the artist, as I promised earlier It's just, I finally can now start doing it, which means unfortunately it will take place over break. So if any of you are interested in looking at the process of how signing an artist works, please let me know. If there's a lot of interest, I can do like a Zoom meeting. But if not, I will just simply record what I'm doing and then have a presentation about what that looks like. And everybody else is addressing some of the exec eval stuff. I just want to address a lot of the stuff that was mine. A lot of the work I did this semester just got caught up in the bureaucracy. I have to fill out event management forms for like every single thing I do, and they all have to go to somebody higher up and get approved. And all the necessary conversations need to be had before they even get approved. That's what a lot of the stuff I did this semester was, is just waiting on this approval. But next semester, I will have a lot more to report. And a report.
Vice President of Student Leadership.
Thank you to everyone who came to the retreat. Congratulations to Senator DeLorme for winning the Irma Joe's gift card. And thank you to Representative Krasinski for giving me the gift card to begin with. The scholarship application is going well. I have 70-ish responses so far. I'm gonna have VPSO Thompson send out an email later this week to all the club leaders. And I'm gonna talk to FSL about sending out an email to all the Greek life presidents as well. Senators Inman and Schultz are helping me work on some more promotion to go on Instagram. If you need me for anything this week, please make sure to use my booking link, as my office hours might be a little wonky due to final projects. Also, I want to address questions people had in my evals. The scholarship did not come out of unallocated. It comes from interest from an endowment UMSG placed in the UMaine Foundation in 2003. SLC is so late because it's the time that worked best for many people that expressed interest. I would love to have it at a better time next semester. The retreat is internal because it is intended to develop the senators, but I have discussed a leadership retreat for general student leaders on campus with VPFA Bone, and if you have any ideas on this, I would love to hear them at SLC. If you have any questions, please email me or schedule something for my office hours. And finally, everyone please leave your binders today, or if they're at home, drop them off on my desk this week. There are a lot of additional documents I would like to work on adding during the final debate. End of report.
Advisor to Student Government.
Hi, everybody. It's our last meeting of the semester, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank you all for all the work that you've done this semester. You've put in a lot of hours. You've allocated a lot of dollars. You've had a lot of discussions and passed way too many resolutions. No, I'm just kidding. But you've done really policy updates and things like that. But I also want to remind you that this is crunch time now. So take care of yourselves. Take care of your friends. If you need things, we're seeing a huge spike in students that just at the end of the semester, they don't know how to figure out something, so send them to us. We might not be able to solve the problem, but we probably can help. So I just want to put that out there and say thank you to all of you. I didn't have exact evals because you don't pay me, but if you want to pay me, I'm open to being evaluated. Just kidding. But thanks everyone for everything. Good luck with your finals. Be careful over break. See you next year.
Are there any questions for the executive reports? President Tripp?
I just want to add one thing and then ask the question to the BPSC. So the thing I want to add is that executives don't work next week. We do not get paid for next week. The term ends on Friday, just so that everybody's aware, so that if people start to not be very communicative next week, it's because we're focused on finals. And again, our jobs are done for the semester. That doesn't mean all of us are going to stop working, but we've had that conversation. And my question for VPSC Lehman is, do we have any updates about the usage of the Meetdown tickets or whatnot?
Yes, we do. Sorry, I forgot that in the report. We got the first bill back from them, and it was $1,300.
Great, so it's being used.
It's being used. It's being used quite a lot.
VP Bone?
I just wanted to add this to our report, that's about it. I'm a senior, and so I'm graduating. Anybody who's interested in this position and learning how to be a VPFA, if you're interested in fulfilling this role in the future, reach out to me. You can reach out to me this week, maybe not finals week, but definitely the start of next semester as well, just to get the ball rolling on that so that I know who's interested and we can start getting a quality candidate that works. And this goes for anybody watching Zoom as well.
Is there any more questions for the executive reports? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to periodic reports. Does anyone have the faculty Senate student representative report? All right, University of Maine Board of Trustees student representative.
Hi, everyone. So as President had mentioned, the student trustee selection process has begun and the committee is forming. The other DOT reps, other campuses are aware now that this is a process that has begun because of Chair Riley's email to us all. I will be working with President Tripp over a break to get this underway, so if you see a post about it or something, you're all, well, I'm pretty sure there are some stipulations, but I'm pretty sure you're all qualified to apply to be the next student trustee. And if you remember Will, who came here to speak to us, he's the current undergrad student trustee. He's graduating in May. It's a really cool position. You're a voting member of the Board of Trustees. And you are the only undergrad voting member in the entire UMaine system, so every UMaine campus is unique and quite a privilege to be that student.
You need 2 years as an undergrad left.
Oh, okay, yes, you can't be going into your senior year. It's a 2-year term, so there's that. Otherwise, you're qualified. And as President Tripp mentioned, you should also come talk to either of us if you're just generally interested in the process, or I'll be graduating in May, so if you are interested in my position, this would be a good way to learn a bit about it, and I would love to talk about it. On another note, I put in the chat last week that I'm looking for volunteers to come to the Board of Trustees meeting right after break gets back, so the 27th, I believe, of January. It's a Monday. And it's a catered lunch at Wells. And I've confirmed that there are 10 spots for students. This is also a unique opportunity because we as students have literally zero access to communicate one-on-one with trustees. Like, we don't have their contact information. We are not allowed to, there's no way for us to reach them directly, so this is a cool opportunity to sit down and have lunch with them. You don't have to pay anything. Sodexo kind of breaks out the good stuff for the trustees, so it's a good lunch. If you're interested in that, let me know. I would really like to get all 10 spots filled, because I told them that we would be excited, so I hope that we are excited. That is all, and report.
Chair of the Fair Election Practices Commission.
Hi, everyone. I have a resolution going through later tonight, for the executive election timeline happening next semester. I implore everyone to take a gander at it when they have a chance. It's a whole bunch of dates, and so it's take a minute to look over. I do not have feedback from my exec evals. I was told that no one did that. And so if you have any feedback or any questions, please come to me directly. I'll be happy to talk with anyone. My office hours are 12 to 2 on Thursday. And report.
We'll stand on that and apply for a report.
Student Legal Services Liaison, does anyone have that report?
Sean will be participating in an interview with the Maine campus to help raise awareness for student legal services after winter break. He also attended the first Monday Bagels, where he handed out his business cards to connect directly with students. Him and Zach, or Senator Zilog, discussed additional outreach strategies, including putting up flyers in residence halls in key UMaine buildings. We welcome any further ideas to help spread the word. Sean continues to provide ongoing support for VP Lehman in the upcoming concert. End of report.
Representative to the Graduate Student Senate.
The University of Maine's Graduate Student Government expressed formal support for the Undergraduate Student Government's initiative to create a centralized syllabus repository. The resolution in support of the syllabus initiative was voted on during the latest meeting, was unanimously passed, and will move forward, and will hopefully be presented to the administration in the future. Positive suspension of importance. The latest meeting was very tense, and the back and forth between some senators was chaotic at best. I unfortunately could simply not keep up with it at all. I dare not open my mouth to ask for further clarification. The internal plexus behind it does not necessarily concern me, What does concern me is the facts regarding alleged miscommunication issues from people that were President Trump, which although I would love to have a clear understanding of and confirm such, I'm still being filled in as we speak. So I simply do not have a concrete answer to share, though I will keep President Tripp and Vice President Schoenberg updated once they get a response. Kind of report.
Orono Town Council Liaison.
Alright, I think I've mentioned this before, but I will be on internship next semester, so I will not be here. So I will not be attempting to reprise my role as Orono Town Council Rep. So what that means for the Good Neighbor Committee, I was recommended by the Senate to serve on that board, but officially the town council voted to put me on that board. So my name is on that list regardless. So going next semester, I'm happy to continue with that role of representing students to the town council in that capacity. But if the incoming or town council rep would like to have that position, it would need to go through the town council to have my name replaced. So I am happy to continue serving that capacity. I've worked with this already, and I am planning to have meetings with members of the town council going into the spring semester. Although I will not be there in person, but if the Orono Town Council in the spring would like to replace me, then that would be, there'd have to be a process for that. Otherwise, I have
Old Town City Council Liaison. Representative of Military Veteran Student Affairs.
ROTC had asked if we could help support them in some of funding they want done. I asked for a list to bring it forward to our BBFA. And it's been about 2 weeks, so I haven't heard back, and I've reached out and haven't been updated, so I'm looking forward.
Director of Communications.
Yeah, not much. I also have not received my exec evals. If something comes through regarding that, I will review those. As always, if you have any recommendations for content, as well as things that you're involved in that you want us to be pushing and promoting, please let me know. Going into next semester, I've talked with VP Schoenberg a little bit about possibly reestablishing my committee. If that is to happen and you're interested, please reach out.
Director of Technology. University of Maine Security Representative.
Hi, so as you guys know, Senator St. Lawrence has been working towards getting things fixed with his services committee, which is great and I'm thankful for. I met with my security team, including Joel Fowley, who was just in here. Networking and cables will be getting inspected to fix blue lights, so we aren't working with old technology anymore because they cannot continue to be used as of right now because of the technology. But they're working on fixing it, not necessarily disabling them. We just want to keep putting out the message to continue using the Black Bear Safe Out while they get that figured out. There's a lot happening with cameras right now. There's a big lack around campus that they're scouting, but the first worry is the library where they have all of the protests and big events. Because there isn't any cameras on the front side. They have it on all of the other sides. It's had an approval for funding with a final quote of a $3,000 minimum. They'll be moving straight into that. And then on top of that, there has been a $75K allotted to just the lights broken on campus that Senator St. Pierre submitted from the night walk, and they will be fixing those as soon as they get the lights in. They have been ordered. Ryan St. Lawrence, sorry. I think that's all. Thank you.
Center of Undergraduate Research Liaison.
Hey guys, I actually have an update this week because we had a meeting yesterday. We have 80 judges for presentations so far. This time last year there were 3. So decent amount of size there. They still need like 80 more though to get the number they want. They want 3 judges per presentation. But oh yeah, and they also want the Maine state representatives to come. Oh yeah, they still want them to come. Apparently they try and get them to come every year because the state funds research on campus. Never get a response from them. So they're gonna try harder this year. But yeah. Oh, and they also always need volunteers. So feel free to sign up. If you want to judge, you can. But if you have any grad student friends that can, or just faculty that you know that would like to sign up, please let them know. Thank you.
Oh. Are there any questions for the reports? Representative Emery?
Yeah, I have a question for BOT Rep Britton. Just a bit of clarification for, some of the meetings that are coming up. I'm aware of one of them that's on December, 17th. And then additionally, I wanted to, see if you knew about, like, the budgetary committee, that is, like, I believe in January.
It's reversed. FFT this month. The full meeting is in January.
Gotcha, so the budgetary meeting is on December 17th.
Yep.
And then the actual full club meeting is in January. What was the date for that?
The 27th.
January 27th.
And was the question about when FFT is?
Yes, on the 17th.
It looks like.
Because you're not involved in FFT meetings, correct, as a rep?
Well, I can go to them. I'm not seeing any, oh, yes, sorry, the 17th. Yep, I was reading 7th. That's what I meant.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Hey, people?
For representative of military and veteran student affairs, Vanderwood, was it ROTC as in the university group, or was it the 20th Maine Honor Society for the ROTC as the student organization?
I believe it was the UMaine one. They wanted to get some exercise equipment that they could also share with the general student body, and I kind of asked for some logistics on how that would be available, and they didn't have any answers, so we'll see.
Awesome.
Senator Collmore?
I can definitely help you with some outreach to the program, to all of the representatives. I have a lot of them on Facebook, so if I'm at least a couple of the time, definitely make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Senator Elliott?
For security director, from what I understood previously, the blue lights were being phased out. My understanding is that they're currently not working.
Sorry, so the ones there are multiple on campus that have been burnt out. Those ones are not working. There are some that are still on and they're working. The problem is that the manufacturing that built the blue lights has not been updated since they were installed in like the early 2000s. And it is like they cannot continue updating it because our technology has advanced out of that. And so the wiring is just like a jumble of wires, I'm assuming. So they're working on finding a new source of technology and a new source of wiring and like Comcast, like person, to like redo them so that way they can be phased back in. They don't know if they're going to completely phase them out and put signs on them saying, hey, these aren't in use, please don't try and use them, because they're worried that students are going to be in danger to try to use them and then like not be able to use them, or if they are going to phase them out one by one. It hasn't been figured out yet. They don't know what to do because they haven't figured out. This hasn't been a problem before.
Senator Elliott?
So some of them currently are not working.
I think there's like one on campus that's burnt out, but it's very obvious that it's not working because it's burnt out.
Senator Warren?
This is for Representative Britt. Do you know what the time is on the 27th for the full board meeting?
For the board meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they start at 8:00 and they have an executive session beforehand that I don't attend and the public can attend. But I can put the schedule in the Senate group chat. That works, yeah. But usually lunch is around noon, so paid for, so, yeah.
President Tripp?
This is about the blue lights. Essentially, the confusion was that we were told as student leaders that it was going to be impossible to find the money to actually replace them, but they hadn't actually made the decision to phase them out. And that is the weird world we exist in, where they haven't made the decision to phase them out, but all signs point to yes. It's from what I understand, and I've been told several times.
Yes, but they never made the decision to actually inform anybody. They weren't planning on telling any of the faculty, any of the staff, any of the students, let alone until they figured it out and somebody decided that they were going to be a mole and it got out to student leaders. And now
We were just told directly in a security
yeah,
meeting.
I know,
don't
you
what
weren't supposed to be.
moles-
So somebody literally was like, in my last security meeting, they were like, hey, I don't know who told everybody that blue lights are being phased out. They're not. We now look like assholes and this needs to be fixed.
We were told by, that,
Is it
right,
appropriate to name them? Okay. We're gonna figure it out.
Are there any more questions for the reports? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to reports of standing committees, starting with policy and procedure.
Okay, so for the FEPC, evals, when I was looking over them the night that we did them after everything was submitted and the Senate, Zoom ended, I realized that the form that we were using, it had a function where when you clicked next section, because originally the FEPC evals were supposed to be right after the PSL eval, so right after Nate Fang's evals. And there was a function in the doc in the form that I don't know how it happened because I'm really bad at technology. But it when you hit next section, instead of going to the FEPC section, it went to Representative Britton's section. And so it fully skipped just all of the questions that the FEPC had. So I was going to address this tonight. I am going to set out a new one tomorrow that's just the FEPC. And I wanted to do this in Senate in person so people could ask questions if they wanted to or if they needed to, because it's kind of confusing. I will send it out tomorrow. I will close it but at the end of Thursday, by Thursday night, and then I will get the all the feedback to FEPC SIGVIDS on Friday. That is what happened. That's why FEPC SIGVIDS does not have her evals yet, but she will get them. I'm working on it, so I will send that out tomorrow morning, and they will close on Thursday night. That's what happened there. And then my actual report, I kind of have an overview of the Policy and Procedure Committee and what happened this semester. So I went through all of my committee notes and I kind of compiled some things I thought were interesting. 31 resolutions were passed in committee, and that does not include any of the resolutions that were tabled, any of the conversations that we had, or anything else, any that failed. None failed this semester, but anything else. So 31 resolutions made it to the Senate. 12 polypro meetings were held. The average attendance of these meetings were 6 senators at each meeting, so that was really good. Thank you guys so much for that. And then the senator who came to my meetings the most was Senator Dana, who came to 10 out of 12 meetings, followed very closely by Senator St. Pierre and Senator Chapman, who both came to 9 of 12 meetings. So thank you guys so much for coming to my meetings. That's awesome. To finish up the semester, I've fully completed my committee binder. So I have my semester summary in there, listing all of the resolutions that we passed this semester for easy access for future people to look back on. And then I wrote down the tabled resolutions that we had that are still tabled, and people have mentioned that they would like to bring them back up next semester. So I just noted them in the semester summary so that it would get brought back up. And then that is all. That is what we did this semester. So thank you guys so much.
Services.
Hello, everyone. I met with Robert St. Louis earlier this week and presented the Google Maps of all the lights that we got on the night walk. They were extremely happy with that, and can't wait to see people get some of that. I should have a future meetings even next semester as well. Very interesting semester in terms of finalizing that and seeing where that will go. Other than that, just looking at my own community details, my average attendance was 2. So there was a little bit of concern from me over committee attendance, especially for services, because I was very rarely told when people were going to be there or not there. So just for future reference, we do have standing committees, and I would like to at least know if people aren't going to go or not, so I can plan further ahead, because otherwise I could have gotten a lot more projects done, in my opinion. But from that, and report.
Academic affairs.
Okay, it was originally scheduled for tomorrow, but in 2 days on Thursday, I'll be meeting with Dr. Marzilli. We have our monthly sort of meeting with him. If anyone has anything academic related you want me to bring up to Dr. Marzilli, just let me know, I'll bring it up. But my main topic I'm talking about at this specific meeting will be about a survey, ideally collaborating with the Provost Office, hopefully, or so that students are able to connect directly with if they have like something academically, they will send like a Google Form directly to it, so maybe we can view on spot. That'd be what I'm talking about. Is sorry, I'm blanking. Yeah, and on Friday at noon, during my regular academic business meeting hours, which I the green hours, which I put everyone to hopefully consider going to, we were just talking about kind of what topic we have questions for that. I have some ideas myself, I also want to make sure I double check my survey before I bring it to the committee there. And then besides that, on Monday, I'm gonna be talking to the student success, the specialist of the College of Arts and Sciences. They recently did an initiative regarding the explorations type class they do. They had incremental sale, so I get to kind of talk to them about and debriefing from what that like what it looked like for them. It's just an interesting kind of thing to get a new perspective, a different kind of perspective on academic affairs outside of student government. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to have some sort of survey feedback form, but really submit by finals week next week. And additionally, on finals week, I have the applicant first committee meeting, which is going to finals week for some reason after a while, but I'll be at that. So yeah, that's how it's report. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the standing committees? Anderson Lawrence.
Point of information, I forgot to put something at the very end of my report. No services this week. I'll be working on the committee binder to make sure I have all contacts, project ideas, and basically just making it so that next semester's chair has like the easiest transition possible.
President Trim.
Just to give you a heads up. Having a really interesting time with the academic affairs committee, but I'm not going to be there. So if they do bring up syllabus bank stuff, just hard line. President Tripp is handling this. He's not here today. We're not discussing this. And I'm working with him directly to get that figured out.
I talked to you about that like 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any more questions for the standing committee? Seeing none, we'll be moving on for reports of special committees, starting with holistic health and wellness committee.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and you're excited for the upcoming break. At our final meeting of the semester, the Holistic Health and Wellness Committee and I put together a 5-slide infographic on some tips and tricks to stay engaged over winter break. I've sent that over to the DOC and I've been told that should be posted on Thursday. So check that out and share it with your friends. This is also your reminder about the UMaine You Will service, a free online telehealth mental health service. If you or a friend is struggling and need somebody to talk to over break, they host a 24-hour crisis line. Additionally, I believe every state within the United States has its own crisis line. So if you or a friend is worried about your mental health or you're concerned about somebody else, please call them, talk to them. Winter can be a very isolating time for many students. And even if we're not together physically, we still should be there together emotionally and support.
Food and Dining Affairs.
Hello, guys. Sorry for my absence here. I had a death in my immediate family that I had to give my full attention to. I've continued to keep FDA initiatives in my radar. The QR code system is running smoothly and feedback is now being sent directly to Sodexo. With Matthew Legal's resignation, all communication has been now redirected to the new Sodexo representative, which I've already been in contact with him to set up a meeting next semester. But I'm not sure if I will be here. So, anyway, several of the projects I had planned have been redirected, so I'm reassessing next steps. One of my main priorities remains arranging a tour of the kitchen. I had begun working on this with Mr. Legal, though we encountered some limitations that still need to be addressed. Regardless of that, that is not going to be feasible until next semester. So the next FDA chair can proceed with that if they please. On a final note, I'm in the process of transferring schools. So if you're interested in the FDA chair for next semester, reach out. Most of the information will be in the FDA binder, but for project and contact information, that is not included. End of report.
Undergraduate Student Symposium.
Hi again. We had a great semester, and thankfully next semester, as we get closer to symposium, we get a lot more busy with planning. And hopefully we have like a lot of people join because that's when it's really important. We have mostly been coming up with student panel questions this semester, and we are starting to format emails to reach out to different department heads about maybe possibly having either an extra credit assignment related to attending the symposium, or if they're nice enough, maybe canceling class. That's probably more rare, but end of report.
Voter Involvement in Education Committee.
I just wanted to thank all of my committee members that have been coming all the time to almost every single meeting. I've been the same consistent 3 people, so I've been really appreciative of that, especially Representative Emery, who does not need to attend any of those committees, but has been, so thank you. But also I wanted to say that I know I have voiced some frustrations around involvement with U Vote so far. And I have been given a further in with that on an involvement side on how to get students more involved in the U Vote process. So I'm really excited to pursue that. Hopefully I'll have that meeting before the end of the semester. And then also, there's been more developments with the political science journal that'll be on the website that I talked about. It's been decided by them that there will be a co-editor process with that, and one of those individuals will be from the Political Science Student Association, and one of the co-editors will be from this committee. Likely it'll be the chair every single time unless the chair decides to proxy that in the future, but for now, that's me. And then if I continue this, then that'll be me next semester. End of report.
Non-traditional commuter and transfer students committee.
I don't have that much to say on that. I am working on a survey for transfer students, for commuter students and non-traditional students. And I will be sending that out in the chat pretty soon. So if you fall under any of those categories, fill it out, let me know what you think. I'm trying to come up with sort of ideas for what I want to work on next semester. Yeah.
Are there any questions for the special committee? Representative.
I want to extend the Student Heritage Alliance Council's deepest condolences to Senator Hughes for what she's experienced.
Much appreciated, thank you. Are there any more questions for the special committees? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to representative board reports, starting with the Honors College State Advisory Board.
All right, hi everyone. Obviously I don't have much of a report. It's my first meeting. We're still in the transition process to the new full council, which as VPSO Thompson said, will not be fully running until next fall. Senator Collimore and I have one more meeting this semester with our council advisor to solidify the voting procedure for the reps and the initiative groups, or it will be probably solidified for next March of spring. For next fall, and then once that is completed, we will update the bylaws in campus groups. So,
Interfraternity Council.
Hi, I'm Dominic Runner. I'm the new IFC president. That's how I found my way into the position. I look forward to working with you all during my term. Last week we had our Greek Gala, but Emily has more to talk about.
Pan Hellenic Council.
Hi everyone, so on December 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. we had our Greek Gala. For this event, we recognized the old execs from the sororities, fraternities, Panhell, and IFC for their hard work and dedication they have given the Greek community over the last year, and welcome the new exec that will be taking over the next term. The sororities and fraternities presented their end of year reports of their philanthropy donations and service hours they completed. And I just want to recognize a notable chapter. It was SIGEP. They raised over $35,000 in philanthropy donations and did over 1,000 service hours. And then lastly, the new panel and IFC exec were officially sworn in, and I'm just excited to work with everyone next year and report.
Student Athletic Advisory Council.
Can I give an update?
Yes.
This week I'm meeting with the rep for next semester, so I can say that next semester, as long as everyone who told me they will return, we should have all of the rep boards and community associations filled, which is great because that was not what it looked like at the start of the semester.
Senior Class Council.
Hi everyone, so tomorrow is our fundraiser at OHA. If you go and you order the class drink, which is called Fill the Steins, we'll have a portion of those proceeds donated back to the Senior Class Council. We're going to be there from 8 to 11 p.m. But if you order that drink at any time throughout the day, a portion of the proceeds will go to us. You do have to be 21 or older to attend, so I apologize if that's an inconvenience. And then we only have 151 days left until graduation. End report.
Sustainability Environmental Action Division.
Should I try?
Oh,
sorry.
go on, I'll do it in a second.
That was the last of the representative.
So are there any questions for the representative board reports? All right, seeing none, we'll be moving on to raise your hand, guys. Maybe come.
Question for Representative Karpinski, what's in the Philistines?
You can show, find out. Does the president have the board?
Review it in the chat. It is 5 pages. So I will let you review it in the chat, and I think that it is worthwhile to review as it has to do with sustainability in dining halls.
We'll be moving on to community association reports, starting with Student Heritage Alliance Council.
The Student Heritage Alliance Council had a very successful meeting on Thursday. We met as usual in Crossland Hall, but due to a really exciting talk by Ron Curry, distinguished author of the Franco-American space, we were off like a side room. But in spite of that, we had a really great turnout. We had for the first time in my time in the Student Heritage Alliance Council, we had the president of the German club like in attendance. And for myself, that was a very big deal because the German club is the oldest cultural club on campus. And so with the coming to Shaq, it's showed that we've all done what we can to support it to make sure that it's still operating. So that was very exciting. We discussed at length the shack to urge that we put forth to director of space and capital management Ryan Ward and to the president Farini Mundi on Friday. Got a lot of great feedback on that, and we had a very great conversation surrounding that. Yesterday, the French and German clubs offered up their meeting times to all come together at Crossland Hall as a shack event to build a gingerbread village, which was a super exciting thing to do. It was a great turnout. We had exchange students from Germany and Spain and all over Europe come and attended. And the advisor to the German club, Gudrun, made a large variety of German cakes, including Baumkuchen, which was really great. A very exciting event this Friday. The Franco-American Center is hosting the annual Franco-American Christmas get together. But this is more so a concert featuring Gus Lacasse, a Franco-American violinist who will be coming in from 1 to 3 o'clock. The event itself is a potluck and will be in celebration of the great semester that we've had. The Student Heritage Alliance Council is incredibly grateful to all of the support we've got from the UMaine student government, the leadership that you all have shown, and the aid that you've given me. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. It's been a massive learning curve, and so it's been a pleasure, and I really look forward to working with you all next semester and advocating for undergraduate students here at UMaine. And a report.
Bob Stein.
As I mentioned last week, it is finally drag show season, which is my favorite event of the year. And I already have a huge update. Some of you might already know this, but Carrie, the one who has hosted the UMaine drag show for at least 5 years, had a serious medical situation and has been in hospital since September. The good news is that she's recovering miraculously despite the severity of her medical condition. And having spoken with her last week, I have confirmed that Carrie intends to reprise her role as the host of the 2026 UMaine Drag Show, which the official date of is April 11th.
Does anyone have the ISA report? Accessibility on campus? Does anyone have that report? Seeing none, does anyone have any questions for the community association reports? Where's the trip?
For the Wild Center representative, do you have a time? April 11th at?
Probably 7, not confirmed,
Not
but
confirmed.
that's the same time it was last year.
No problem.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we'll now enter Senator Norm.
I move to suspend the rules and consider 46S EBC 171 ahead of entering 5-minute recess.
Second. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in, I'm sorry, was there a debate? Yes or no?
Yes.
Senator Sparks.
Just to clarify, that's the student who's been sitting over there this entire meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Seeing nothing more for debate, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. I will now welcome up the speaker for Maine Steiners as we consider 46S EBC 171.
Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin Flannery. I am the current tour coordinator for the Maine Steiners. Our president or treasurer could not be here tonight, so I'm here to fill in. So we are seeking funding for our, we have two tours we go on every year, and each semester. The upcoming tour will take place the week before we resume classes in January. And you may remember that we asked for funding for our spring tour last year for you returning members. And for those of you who don't know, the Maine Steiners is the premier tenor and bass a cappella group here on campus. It is auditioned out of the premier choral group, University Singers. And our whole mission statement is to bring music to communities throughout Maine, New England, Canada, and even into Europe as we go on international tours with our parent group. To express the idea that you do not need to stop your pursuit of music, your lifelong pursuit of music, once you get to the college level. You don't need to be majoring in music to continue your pursuit. I'm not a music major, and I've been in this group for 4 years, and I even get scholarship for singing in groups like this. So we really spread that around to people, bringing music to them, to underserved communities as well, with public performances and private performances for students, including workshops. Just a little bit about Maine Steiners. Let's see. Over the past 3 years, we've visited over 50 schools throughout Maine, New England, and Canada, which equates to roughly 12,500 students. Not only are we ambassadors of the University of Maine School of Performing Arts in our own organization, but also the University of Maine and the state of Maine, as well as the United States when we do go international. Let's see, what else do I have here? We were originally started in 1958. We have released multiple albums. We have participated in national and international competitions as part of these travels that we do. Like I said, we go overseas with our parent group, University Singers. I was fortunate enough to go to Italy a few years ago and perform in the Vatican, as well as several other very important spaces. And part of that mission statement, like I said, is to provide those opportunities and let people know about those opportunities that exist as part of being in the arts at the University of Maine. We also act as, like I said, ambassadors to bring students to the University of Maine. So influencing them, letting them know of all the opportunities we offer here. We often talk about the 200 plus clubs that we have on campus. A big question when we get on tours is not always about music, but also what is it like to be a college student at UMaine? But we do hype up our student organizations and everything in between because there is such a wide variety and there really is something for everyone. So.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Cowan.
What's your favorite part of tour?
My favorite part of tour is we do a well, one, it's getting to see like all the kids' faces light up when we perform for them, because not only are we doing high school students who are potentially about to commit to the University of Maine, we also do visit elementary schools just to give them a variety and let them know like, hey, you can do this when you get big and you go to college. So that's one thing, but also we do have a piece that is a medley of a bunch of different Disney songs. And there's choreography to it, and there's a bunch of planned lines and moves. Someone goes out and kisses the girl, which is really funny. So yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
Do we have any more questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
5-0-0, pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator Delorme.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Senator St. Lawrence.
I move to suspend the rules to amend the agenda to replace 5-minute recess with a 10-minute recess.
Second. Hearing a second. We will now enter discussion. Seeing no discussion, debate.
It's about what debate means and how long, anyway.
Senator Dilworth.
Just gonna put this out there, if we continue debating this, it's gonna go over like 5 minutes plus that extra 5 minute recess. Let's just push it down now, please. Please.
Senator Elliott. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion on moving to previous. Seeing none, debate. All those in favor of moving to previous? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear 2/3 majority, will be moving to previous. We will now be voting on the 10-minute recess. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? I got 8. You can't do math. Very good. All those opposed?
You don't have it. It's a.
Seeing not the 2/3, that is rejected. Now it is the pleasure of the Senate, will now be entering a 5-minute recess. Just not good. I'm now looking for approval of the consent agenda. Senator Delorme.
I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Hearing a second, if it's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Moving into unfinished business, moving into 46S, ABC 160, Interfraternity Council.
Alright, good. So the IMG is looking for just a little over $1,900 to go to NDLA's this upcoming spring semester. What NDLA's would benefit us for is national networking in the Northeast region with other ISD presidents, risk management and recruitment VPs. And with this, we can bring back to the campus new ideas, new perspectives, and hopefully benefit us for the better. Obviously, I'm a little new to the position, so I'm not exactly sure the grand specs of what we will be learning there, since we have not gone since COVID. But this would be a huge opportunity for the ISD and life as a whole. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for our speaker? President Tripp.
I've explained to EBC why this is important and how we're moving into kind of like a new era for IFC. But a lot of the hesitation with IFC generally has been the fact that they consistently don't show up, they consistently miss meetings, they consistently don't communicate. I'm just curious, and if you put maybe some of those concerns to the rest of the Senate on how you'll be handling IFC next semester.
Yeah, so I will be making sure I can save as much time to actually show up to these meetings. I have heard those concerns in the past of, ISD president just gets the spot and gets paid to do nothing, but I'm going to change that whole idea. And if I'm unable to make it, I have 7 other people that I can appoint to be there for me. And there will be somebody here for IFC every meeting for my entire term.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
501, pass as stipulated.
Senator Delorme.
To approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Seeing nothing else under unfinished business, we'll be moving on to new business, starting with 46S POL 164, agenda restructure.
Wow. Gosh. Feels like we've been here for 2 days. All right. Cool. Everyone should have it in front of them with some capacity, right? You don't need to bring it up onto the screen. We are making but we do recognize that we should So this is broken. Anyway. So this is a regenerative restructuring act. This is exactly what I said. I think we had like a 10-minute conversation about this in the Senate. And then I sent a copy or a concept resolution to Polypro. They discussed it, decided they didn't want to do anything with it. I then came back to be there because I couldn't be there that time. We had the discussion. And essentially what this would do is it would move the consent agenda and funding requests after club presentations, and it specifically says funding requests, so it's not all of new business. So simply I mean, it would be UMSG funding requests, so if we ever needed money, but it's not usually what we vote on, and those are usually straightforward anyway. But this would essentially make it so we can get our folks who are coming simply for funding of their clubs out of here before, I think it was 8:30 tonight, that the Maine signers left. So if there are any further, we can just go into discussion about it or questions about it. But I've spoken to, since I came up with that, everyone who's come in here and requested funding, and I asked them just straight up, what were your feedback? And the first thing that they would say is that it takes too long and they don't understand why they're still there. So that's.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation? 5-0 on pass. Senator DeLorme.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Keep people.
I think the current agenda is fine. I think that clubs come in and they get at least $1,000. I think that the information that they gain during that period of time, that they would be missing with this pass. I feel like that's valuable information, whether they want to listen to it or not, it's up to them. We've seen club representatives sit in the back and they work on homework. It's not like they're forced to listen to what we're saying for that period of time. It's not like it's a complete gap in their schedule that's unaccounted for. They can work on homework here, they can put AirPods in, they can put headphones on, they can do all of that. And maybe part of it is when I send my email outside that I recommend to them that they bring other work to do until they're called upon, that they just stay in the meeting. But I think that the way we're currently at is fine, and I enjoy having other individuals and members of our constituency in the back who are actually involved with student government hear the work that we do in all of our reports, get to hear all the updates that we give week to week. And so I am against this restructuring, and I think that clubs gain enough from it that it's worth their time.
Senator Palmore.
I would disagree. I think personally, if we're gonna be telling them to bring other work, they're not paying attention and they're not getting anything from sitting back there. Maybe they hear a little bit of it. Maybe in the the little information section we had a little bit ago about services related things, that was probably interesting to some of them. But at the same time, I feel like we can't guarantee there's gonna be anything applicable to them. Obviously the stuff is applicable to them, but I just don't think they need to hear it through this and making them wait that entire time, especially if they have to wait until say 9 o'clock or 8:30. It's just a little ridiculous.
EOC.
Yeah, I personally think that the information is already accessible to them through the Zoom, through our YouTube channel. If they want to watch Senate, if they want to get access to that information, they can do so on their own time. I just think that it's more convenient for them to be able to come in for a shorter period of time. They still have to go through EBC, they still have to fill out their forms and go through all the proper paperwork, proper procedure to get their funding. I think that is their commitment already being shown. I don't think they should have to sit here, especially in a meeting like tonight, for 2.5 hours or more when they also have their own obligations and things that they could be doing.
Senator Van Wood.
Yeah, it's more of a question than a statement, but I'm wondering if having people sit for an entire meeting, if that deters them from asking for money in the first place, because they have to know that they're gonna have to give up 2-3 hours of their night to get to that position. So I don't really have a leaning one way or the other, but I'm just wondering, maybe we could get more people coming in for money if they didn't have to sit through everything.
President Trump.
Can I take that question? Not necessarily like straight up, like I haven't heard people say we don't work with money because it's because of how long it takes during the Senate meetings, they just talk about generally feeling like student government is unapproachable, and I do think that that plays into this. I also think that while I agree that $1,000 is a lot, it's their money, not ours, and I think that we're playing a little bit too close to the ball on that one. And I also think that they could still sit here and listen if they wanted. This would not immediately kick them out, but we have seen every single time without fail, when the vice president says you can stay or leave, they leave. And that to me is enough for, in my opinion, it is our job to make it as streamlined and straightforward and as resource focused as we can. And I really do think that like the discussions that are had here are still had. We still do our jobs. We still represent them very well. And I really would want people to walk away being like, wow, that was simple. And I enjoyed the experience rather than not enjoyed it. That would be, but again, I don't really care how this falls. It's really up to, I just wanted the Senate to have this real tougher discussion.
I'm now looking for a new point of debate that is not building off a previous speaker. If you are, I will stop you. Senator Sparks.
I agree with BPFA Bone. I believe that we should leave it for different reasons. One being that I have seen people actually stay. Last couple of meetings ago, there was a person who stayed for the end of the meeting until she was satisfied with her interest in what she wanted to hear. But also a lot of people don't really know that this is a thing that we do. They don't know that we give out reports, and it's just gonna make it worse if we do cut them off and say, hey, you don't have to stay. It's also, how do we know that this information is going to apply to them until they actually listen and hear it themselves? So that's another aspect of that.
Senator Ricker.
Yeah, so student government over the years has definitely evolved, right? And even like 5 years ago, when I first joined student government, it was very different because the meetings were shorter, and the way that students had understood student government was different because they wouldn't know. The way we did outreach was just kind of different because what we have now is a bunch of different committees who all individually have their own outreach projects. The students have many different ways to understand student government that isn't just having to understand it through because they have to be requesting funds and seeing what happens beforehand. So I think that this change wouldn't actually be that, like, I think this is a good change because the way that we advertise ourselves out to the student body in general, it's fundamentally different than what we did years ago, where this might have been a really good thing for students to sit through and see what we actually do when they otherwise wouldn't. Now they have more accessibility to us. So I think that we shouldn't waste our time if we don't have to, so.
Senator Cowan.
Time is at points, especially for your average college student, a luxury. And I understand that our meetings can sometimes last very long. But if we think about the average time our meetings have really been for the semester, we've been done before 8 o'clock the majority of the weeks. That's about an hour 45 that students are expected to sit here before they are given funds. And I think that that is a really important hour and 45 minutes of that student's time. That is an hour and 45 minutes that student is kind of forced to engage with our body, is forced to understand the scope of what we do. And that is really important, not only to the students hoping to access funding from this body, but to the body wanting to continue. Sorry if it sounded weird for me to call it the body, but you get what I mean. I think people need to know about us. We have a very apathetic campus here at the university. Students do not want to engage with a government of any form. Students are not looking for a formal activity to go and participate in. Students are looking to access their money, which is their right. And I agree that sometimes meetings like this are a little too long to be at, but that point of inclusion, that point of where they're brought to the table and really have to participate is really important to both parts of that process.
I'll accept one more. President Trim.
The folks who sit in these are not permitted to speak except for when they're presenting and the one general good and welfare. So while I appreciate the concept of engagement, I would question whether or not that engagement is actually an avenue there, or if we're just once again splitting hairs at all. again,
Are exec reports open to public question?
yes, in which they could stay for immediately after. And this set out.
Senate, not because guest speakers, which is what took up the majority of this meeting, which is what pushed the time so far, and which they're already have to stay for if they want to comment, if this would pass.
Okay.
Alright, that was the last point of debate. We will now be moving in to voting. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? It is a tie.
Well, Madam Vice President.
So it is up to me. It passes. Yes. We'll now be moving on to 46 POL 165 Executive Election Timeline 2026.
Okay, hello, everyone. So we went through this process with the Senate election timeline a little bit ago. And so this is going to be a very similar resolution and second document that is attached to that resolution. So this resolution just states that I'm required to submit it to Senate, the timeline that is. I'm required to submit it to the Senate and you guys have to vote on it. And then there's an attached timeline as well, which I hope everyone has looked over. It includes dates for when the nomination forms become available, when the deadline for those being submitted is, and then dates for when actual voting will include, when the debate of the candidates will be, and then some specific dates about when, you know, the ballots are unsealed and when the winners are announced. I can go through all those specific dates. But you also have access to it, which is probably easier to just read off your income, in my opinion. So I can go to questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
500, I pass.
Senator DeLorme.
I move to accept the committee's recommendations.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. We'll now be moving into 46S POL 166, modifying leadership scholarships timeline.
Okay, I walked up here and realized I don't have a copy of it, but I have written it with as many whereases as I feel like I possibly could have to make it as easy to understand. So if anyone has any questions or would like me to go through it, please let me know. Otherwise, it's just changing it from the fourth Friday of January, which would be 3 days after we get back, to the third cabinet meeting, because the scholarships are decided by cabinet, and I think it should be based off cabinet and not a date that means different things depending on how break falls.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
500, I pass.
Now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation.
Accept the committee's recommendation.
Second.
Hearing a second, we will now enter discussion. Senator Elliott.
Yes, it's a question, but did the executive board meet during COVID, like through COVID?
Yeah. The student government fully functioned through COVID. Yep.
Just suppose it.
entirely on Zoom, and then when we came back, we were all on DPC 100. We'd all sit apart, and the execs would sit 6 feet apart in chairs on the stage, and that's where.
Any more points for discussion? Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Now moving on to 46 SPOL 167, modifying leadership scholarships. Modifying.
It's supposed to be title removal Article 2, Section 4, subsection E, the hiring and employment policies.
That.
And I don't know how that happened.
Okay, so, I would like to point out that in the agenda, the policy number is correct. It's just the title is incorrect. So we don't have to make any amendments there. We're just going off of the actual policy number. Anyway, okay, so this policy is for removing a section from the hiring policies that is so wildly outdated. It's kind of impressive it's still in there. I will read it out loud to everyone. Section E says, if any employment contract expires between July 1st, 2013 and July 30th, 2016, and if the contractual employees wish to pursue further contractual employment, then they will not receive merit pay increases in renegotiations of a new employment contract after all employment contracts expire on June 30th, 2016. No merit pay increases shall be granted to contractual employees for future employment contracts. This applies to 2016 and not to us, so it does not need to be in there.
Are there any questions for our speaker? VP Fang.
The last line, to my understanding, has something to do with everything that comes after June 30th, 2016. Is that important at all? If they know.
It does,
There.
from my understanding, it does not connect anything. I looked through documents, I might have missed something, but I do not believe it connects to anything.
VP Thompson.
My understanding is that it's saying, all employee contracts from now on cannot be granted merit pay increases. Is that something that we do, or is that something that's said elsewhere in the hiring policies that we can't do?
President Tripp.
It's not something that we do. A merit pay increase would be like, and not like an adjustment for Pam, or it would be like if we came in and it wasn't a contract year and we were like, we're gonna give Pam $20,000 more a year because she deserves it. I feel like removing this, I don't think it's written anywhere else, so it would allow us to do that. Again, that would even pass the entire Senate, and I think that if we wanted to I think that we can, as a body, handle that responsibility to not give 20 grand raises on a whim.
Senator Sparks.
I'd also like to point out that this was brought to my attention by Pam, our AVPFA, who knows more about the financial policies than anyone. And she was the one who brought this to my attention. So I'm very confident that this is not attached to anything.
Any more questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
400 passes.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation.
To accept the committee's recommendation.
Okay. Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Now moving on to 46S POL 168, removal of the 2-day delay in distributing funds.
Okay, so kind of the same thing. It's a very outdated policy this one's in the standing rules. So this one reads, if the resolution deals with funds in any amount, then it shall take full effect no earlier than 2 business days after the meeting of the Senate. The President's cabinet may not veto a resolution of this type after it has taken effect. So this is a very, very old policy that is back when everything was on paper. For those who don't know, our process is we pass all funding requests, then they go to cabinet can veto anything. And then if it passes cabinet, it goes to our AVPFA, and then she will distribute all of the checks, necessary. So with this policy, it holds up that process for 2 days. Originally, it is for giving our AVPFA 2 days to go over everything and make sure it's confirmed, and it also gives cabinet 2 days to hold a meeting. But now cabinet is required to meet on Wednesdays, the day after Senate. So this is no longer needed, and also everything goes through much faster than before because everything is electronic. So this right now is just holding up our funding process when funds could be allocated much quicker than they are.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Collmore?
I was just wondering about that second sentence says the president's cabinet may not veto a resolution of this type after it has taken effect. Is that just talking about, in this case, is talking about it, so they're saying they may not veto a funding resolution?
Right, so, what this is saying basically is if cabinet has not met within those 2 days, the checks can be allocated, and after the checks are allocated, Senate cannot, or cabinet cannot veto that. So it's basically saying if the money is already allocated, we can't go back to those clubs and say, hey, cabinet actually vetoed your request and we need that money back. That's basically what it's saying.
I would be pro this because I think it would be wrong for the cabinet to do so, and essentially it's like the reverse of a pocket veto because cabinet and student government doesn't have positive power, it has negative power. It doesn't have the power to approve things, it only has the power to stop things. Great question. That's information to the senator's question. You started being pro this. Like just as from a cabinet's perspective, like it's not, I guess, sure. Is contextual.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, if we're taking away the line, says the president's cabinet can't veto a resolution of this type after it's taken effect, does that mean that we may have issues with the cabinet trying to do so if this isn't stated anywhere else in the standing rules?
What do you mean, sorry?
Well, cause like I may be totally off base here, but if we're taking out the line that says the cabinet can't veto if the funds have already been dispersed. I'm just anticipating, is it possible that could become an issue where a cabinet tries to do that in the future?
No, so by taking this out, it would require it to go through cabinet before it can be allocated. So basically, this is saying like, it's basically saying cabinet sometimes, I guess, in the past wouldn't be held within the 2 days, and so it would be by 2 days, then the funds would be allocated. But we don't do that anymore. They're required to have it on Wednesdays, and so no matter what, it will go through cabinet on Wednesdays.
Other points for discussion? President Tripp?
Point of information, when I redid the cabinet policies, I wrote in that it must meet within a certain day, so it has already been accounted for.
Senator Collmore?
Sorry to have further question with that. Sorry, that brought up another question that I had about this, because I think we might be on the same kind of discussion here. It sounds like just when I read it was that they can't. Of this type after has taken effect, so even if it was held on that Wednesday, it would take effect on that Wednesday. And then this is saying that, in this line it's saying they may not veto a resolution of this type after it has taken effect. I think that is, the after it's taken effect is separate from those two. It sounds like maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna answer what I think you're asking, and if I'm wrong, then please correct me. So basically, if cabinet allows something to go through, it cannot be reconsidered. Is that what you're asking here? So like cabinet will not veto it or pass it or pass it one day, and then the funds will be allocated. They can go back and be like, actually, we want to re-look at that and re-look at those funds and reallocate.
I just wanted to make sure you could go back, there wouldn't be.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
4-0-1 on pass.
May I looking for approval of the committee's recommendation, Senator Moore?
Recommendations.
Hearing a second. We'll now enter discussion. Senator Sparks.
Just for information wise, the abstain, the one walked in halfway through the conversation, and so that person abstained. That is why we have an abstention.
Any other points for discussion?
Essentially what I do for funding requests is we have Senate and we have cabinet, and then now the amount of time it takes Pam to go through the requests is usually like by Wednesday afternoon. And so when I always tell clubs that once they get my confirmation email, is that is when they're allowed to first make purchases. And so that confirmation email is like the deadline that would be the hard limit that's in here. Because that's when there's like a paper trail that says this has been approved on all fronts and they know.
Any other points for discussion? President Tripp.
The other point on that is that the cabinet has until noon on Wednesday to hold its meeting, so that if it happens past that, it would in theory lose its chance to veto it, so. This would still, to DOC Leclerc's point, not allow a reversal of anything.
Senator Elliott.
Is the cabinet restricted from considering resolutions from, is like restricted to only considering resolutions from the Senate meeting before?
Yeah. Yeah, because they have to, yeah.
Any more points for discussion? Seeing.
The only power that we have and to move anything is to veto and send it back to the Senate. So once it gets past us, we have no way to reach it again. So it slides through, anything that comes through Senate slides through the cabinet by noon and then is gone. So there is no recourse.
Any more points for discussion? Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. We will now be moving on to 46S, POL 160, urge to delay and reconsider the relocation of the Franco-American Center in Spruce Bud Road Mile.
Yeah, do I go up to the podium?
Yes. And due to the nature of this being an act to urge, I'd ask the speaker to read out the act to urge in full.
Yes, right. Well, hi everybody. It's good to be here. My phone or my laptop's about to die, so I'll probably switch over to my phone halfway through it. But really, I think before we begin, like I need to preface this with the history of it. I think this whole process has been something which has been on all of our minds this semester. It's been the biggest thing that I've been attending to, and we've been working with a lot of people. This act to urge initially started out with GSG Senator Lincoln Tyler, who wrote the original resolution she presented to GSG this semester earlier on. And really without him, we wouldn't be in a spot where we could even discuss this. So I'd be remiss if I didn't, talk about his contribution to this entire thing. Without him, this would be impossible. But so I'll read this through. This is an urge to delay and reconsider the relocation of the Franco-American Center and the Spruce Bud Room Lab. An act to urge the University of Maine to reconsider the current plan to relocate the Franco-American Center and Spruce Bud Room Lab and delay the demolition of Crossland Hall. Whereas, according to records in the Penobscot County Registry, the building currently known as Crossland Hall, built in 1833, is the only surviving farmhouse from the original deed transferring land to the trustees of the Maine State College of Agriculture and Mechanic Arts in March, as outlined in the deed from the town of Orono to the trustees of the State College of Agriculture and Mechanic Arts in 1866. Crossland Hall remains the oldest standing building on the University of Maine campus and the current home of the Franco-American Center. And whereas Crossland Hall was recognized in the University of Maine's 2007 Historic Preservation Master Plan as a Tier 1 historic building, indicating the highest level of historic and architectural significance. End quote. The master plan explicitly recognizes Crossland Hall for its importance to the university's heritage era. Further, a September 26, 2025 letter to the Maine Historic Preservation Council recognized that Crossland Hall holds historical significance within the university's legacy in the state of Maine. And whereas the Spruce Bud Room Lab was established in 2021 at the University of Maine as part of the state's response to the rising threat of a spruce bud worm outbreak. This lab serves as Maine's central monitoring hub for the invasive species, processing statewide branch samples to count overwintering L2 stage larvae. This data is critical for forecasting population growth and informing spray map forecasts and forest protection strategies. And my computer just died. That safeguard Maine's spruce fir forest. And whereas since opening The lab has expanded to 700 statewide sampling sites, enabling capacity to process branch samples and deliver larvae count data to landowners, forest managers, and state agencies alike. This growth prompted its recent additional support through congressional directed funding totaling $600,000, reflecting both federal recognition of the lab's importance and its expanding role in Maine's statewide spruce budworm monitoring and forest protection efforts. And whereas the spruce budworm's current location in the Environmental Science Laboratory provides the specialized infrastructure, environmental control, and processing spaces necessary for its research to operate effectively and expand. Relocation to a smaller facility would undermine the lab's current capacity to process statewide samples and meet its growing research demands. And whereas responding to clarifying questions from the UMSG president and vice president about the information on the university's cross and hall removal fact sheet website regarding the spruce budworm lab, its director on December 3rd, 2025 stated via email that the current size of the lab space in the environmental science lab is 2,450 square feet. However, the university's fact sheet states that the lab's intended new location in Deering Hall identifies around 2,200 square feet, an increase of approximately 10% to meet current and future needs. The around 2,200 square feet would then instead be a 10% decrease from its current size. And whereas in the aforementioned December 3rd email, the director explained that the original goal of the lab was to increase capacity even more, around 50 to 100% more, was their hope, indicating that we would need to expand our space even more than what we currently have to meet that demand. This would mean that even the current 2,450 square foot space in the environmental science lab is insufficient for what the projected need is now. And whereas the spruce budworm lab has invested resources in preparing the environmental science lab for specialized processing needs, including $25,000 in upgrades during 2025 alone, not including prior improvements and the additional upgrades necessary for next season's sample processing. And whereas the University of Maine student government has a vested interest in both the spruce budworm lab and the Franco-American Center, as the lab currently serves 11 undergraduate students, and the Franco-American Center serves as a home to the Franco-American Student Association, which provides cultural and academic resources for Franco-American and non-Franco-American students alike. And whereas the current plan to demolish Crossland Hall and relocate both the Franco-American Center and the Spruce Budworm Lab lacks input from key stakeholders, including students, student groups, and community organizations such as the Franco Farms and the Fun with French after-school French immersion program. Dean of Students Andrew Gifford shared a message to the undergraduate student body on October 6th, signed by interim vice president for Finance and Administration, Jenny Boyden, and interim provost Gabriel Paquette, announcing the relocations. And whereas the University of Maine has long recognized the importance of supporting Franco-American students and preserving their cultural contributions, as stated by President Winthrop Libby in 1972, the University of Maine should undertake a major concerted effort to stake out a claim for special programs designed to understand and appreciate the contributions of the Franco-American to the culture of the Northeast. That was stated by President Winthrop Libby. To uphold the program's founding vision and ensure continued service to our Franco-American community, any relocation must provide updated and adequate facilities that meet the program's academic, cultural, and community needs. And whereas the aforementioned October 6, 2025 email to faculty states that the Franco-American Center is being moved to a more accessible home and a renovated central location for Franco-American programs, supporting teaching, archives, events, and partnerships. However, Libby Hall and the Environmental Science Lab are not centrally located and significantly further from a campus entrance that Crossland Hall represents. Additionally, the center's archives and 3 libraries will be separated from the center and placed in Fogler Library. This presents a reality of reduced accessibility, reduced ease of access, and increased isolation that should be acknowledged in planning and communication. And whereas the Franco-American Center and Spruce Budworm Lab are both essential to the vitality of our university and state, and as such, any proposed relocation planning should be undertaken in direct collaboration with their faculty leadership and engage early with student stakeholders to ensure concerns are addressed and proposals are sound. And whereas the University of Maine student government believes significant concerns about the current plan as outlined in this resolution should be discussed before any action is taken to relocate the Franco-American Center and Spruce Buttering Lab. Resolved. The University of Maine undergraduate student government urges the University of Maine and its relevant administrators to pause the demolition of Crosswood Hall and subsequent plans to relocate the Franco-American Center and Spruce Buttering Lab, and not move forward until current concerns from stakeholders around the communication, historical significance, and logistics of the project are resolved. And resolved, the University of Maine student government urges that any conflicting information on the University of Maine's Crosswood Hall removal fact sheet be corrected and clarified, and that subsequent updates be publicly communicated to all stakeholders, including student leadership and associated student groups. And resolved, this resolution be presented to the University of Maine President's Office, Provost's Office, Vice President for Finance and Administration's Office, Director of Space and Capital Management's Office, and any other key university administrative or leadership offices or individuals. That's a very lengthy resolution.
Are there any questions? If you go.
In the first results section, you mentioned that you want to concerns from stakeholders around communication, historical significance, and logistics for the project are resolved. I'm just kind of stuck on the historical significance. I feel like there's been a statement from MHPC, the official like legal code enforceable statement. And so what concerns are there that haven't been addressed in that statement that says that it's not of like enforceable historical significance?
President Tripp.
So myself and VP Shelmerdine, I was supposed to say President Tripp, helped write this and I wrote that section, and from what I understood, it had a lot to do with like the preservation of parts of the building itself, say a chimney, say a board and stuff like that, that conversations have not had around about things that could actually be saved within the building, that I believe actually was mentioned that was a possibility that could move forward.
Yeah, this is one thing which we're actually currently looking into is potentially renovating the building, renovating on the porch that was closed in the 1940s or 50s. But after talking to the Maine Historic Society, it looks like if we can get the porch back to the original state that it was in, as it was back in the 1800s, and restore the historic windows, that in of itself, the exterior of it, retaining that integrity is vital to its historic significance.
Okay. I was talking more about making sure that pictures are properly taken, records are properly kept, and that is how I interpreted the line. It wasn't to save the building necessarily.
Just for background on this, I have experience in the past with architectural history. My mother's actually an architectural historian who works in Bangor, and so I've followed along in several of her tours around Bangor Historic Districts and the documentation that she has for those. I've looked at some of the historic resources the universities put out around the Crosswood Hall, and even if it was like on the historic register, that is when those like full historical archiving would need to be taking place with pictures and with everything else. Because it's not on that register, there is no national federal regulation that they actually do that. And so, and I'll keep that in my assumption. Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
500 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator DeLorme.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we will now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate.
I would urge the senator to strike this historical significance phrasing for the very original section, just for the facts and the statements that I just made previously.
President Tripp.
I think even if it was students who wanted to preserve some of the historical significance and not a federal mandate, that's worthwhile. And I think that that is kind of the more so the mentality that we're coming from in terms of protecting its historical significance to this campus and to its student body, not necessarily what the federal government says. So while I agree in terms of like the federal thing, I think this is more so referring to making sure that if it needs to go forward and we need to see this building go away, which absolutely may be the case and may be the case despite this resolution, that the needs or the wants of those students are at least considered. I think that that is what actually that's trying to get at.
Senator Tomar.
I would agree with President Trent, but I would also say along with it, I think we should pass this overall. Just because clearly there has been enough student support through all of the initiatives that you guys have done and the petition that was posted. I think it was
1,546, it was that last time I checked it last.
That's a very large portion of our community and student body. And I think that that is just something that has been getting a lot of attention as well. So it would both benefit us and also the student body if we pass this.
Senator Elliott.
I think this strengthens the position of not only the students that have been advocating for this, but also our position as a student government by making a firm commitment on this. And I support this resolution in full as written.
VP Ball.
And to touch on President Tripp's statement, I feel like historical significance is not what we're talking about. Historical significance is what I classify as that well-defined in legislation and in policy. This is more of a cultural significance to us, to the undergraduate students of Maine. And so I would urge that we change the historical wording to cultural wording.
Representative.
I think that I just pushed back on it a bit. I think that it's been clearly outlined that Crossland Hall is the oldest building on campus. Seeing as it was built in 1833, I think that in of itself speaks that to its historic significance. Even the architecture in of itself being a Greek revival, I think, after talking to folks from the Historic Society, stated that this is a unique aspect of the building.
I move to amend this document to replace historical in the first resolve with cultural. So it reads, and not move forward until concerns from stakeholders around communication, cultural significance, and logistics of the project are resolved.
Seconded.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Senator Sparks.
I just wanted, because we are talking about this specific line, I wanted to give space where it is directed at this specific line, and not when we're considering the resolution overall.
Senator Elliott.
I think it doesn't need to be. Never mind.
Any? Gosh. Yes, any other points for discussion? Seeing none, debate. Senator Elliott.
I don't think we need, it's like, this is not a federal document, but we need to prove this is legally meeting the definition of historically significant building. It is historically significant, we've defined it that way, it doesn't need to be some federal parameter, it's not a federal document, and it's historically significant.
Senator St. Pierre.
I would echo that, and I think that we should pass this as it's worded now. If we want to make any change, I would say we could say historical and cultural significance. But I think that there's been so much, this resolution is the culmination of months of work, and I think that there's been plenty of back and forth about what words should be in it and what shouldn't be. So I think that this is already like, it's gone through every process it needs to go through. I think it's the best possible wording it could be.
VP Ball.
To touch on points, so we don't have the power as students to claim that as historical significance. We can claim that it has significance to us as a student body, which is the culture of us as a student body of the University of Maine, but not historically, because we weren't around when it was made. And also to touch on the historical significance that's being claimed itself, we have to look at the ship Theseus argument, right? It's been replaced. That's why it's not been on the National Register before, even though it was built in the 1830s, if I remember correctly, because it's been replaced. Things have been changed and they're not considered the same. And those aspects that have been changed are what is not considered historically significant, which therefore make the entire building historically significant. That is the stance that MHPC, the National Registers take when they look at these buildings. And it fails to meet that, which is what qualifies for historical significance wording, which is why I think that we should continue on with what Senator Sparks motion.
President Tripp.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, indifferent about how this works out. I think that I hear the vice president's concerns. I also think that that line does not make or break this resolution. And I think that I would like to hear from representatives and other executives, because if this gets hung up and not passed in cabinet, this doesn't go anywhere. It's dead, because it won't. We don't have Senate until next semester. And frankly, I would lean towards going forward with this. And I think that this resolution isn't about saving Crossland Hall. It is about the large scale proposal that has a lot of people in the line of fire that we believe has not been, T's have not been crossed and I's have not been dotted. And that is what I'm more concerned about. And if I am going to be frank, I'm not sure this ultimately changes the university's decision that it has very much stood by of taking down Crossland Hall. So I don't think that that is what is making break or breaking in this resolution.
I would like to ask the Senate if they believe the word historical is that much more impactful than the word, historical is that much more impactful than the word cultural, because I am in favor of the amendment because I don't believe that is the case. And I think that if the word historical is not that much more impactful than cultural, then I would rather change it, because I don't want to send a serious formal letter act to urge through with something that, as VPFA bonus stated, is factually incorrect. When the wording is, if there even a minimal more impact.
Representative Emery.
And this is where just I have to push back, I think, being, like I think the work of Lincoln Time, if you want, I can send it to you. He wrote a 53-page history write-up of Crossland Hall, detailing its usages, its relocation in 1904. And I think the ship of Theseus argument, I think, is ultimately, it's like, I think they're valid concerns, but I believe, history is an evolving thing. We as individuals, we are evolving and change, because our cells, we are different, we have no cells from when we were, infants, babies, doesn't mean that, we're a completely different person. And so I think, just I have to vehemently push back that Crossland Hall isn't, historically significant, because it has some different parts. There are things that can be done, the historic windows, the porch, the Maples, which is in the historic district, has the same siding as it. And after talking to individuals from the Maine Historic Society, it's mostly the exterior that it can add to a historic district that is of concern.
Senator Rickard.
Yeah, I think that whichever one is correct or wrong or what technically is or isn't, doesn't really matter to me. I don't remember the way to like potentially against some candidates. If we want this to pass this semester, which requires it passing in this meeting, it makes sense to go with the amendment forward and then to do and get it now.
Senator Sparks.
I'm in favor of this amendment for the reason of whether or not you believe that historical or cultural is the way to go. It comes down to how the university is going to perceive this, and because it's such a big ticket item and so much money is going into this, there's so much at stake with this resolution. Even giving a one word space for them to push back on this resolution is not something necessary when we have caught it before it has gone out. And even if just changing this one word ends up not doing anything, the fact that we eliminated any possible pushback that we can foresee makes this change worth it.
I'm now looking for new points of debate on the amendment. Senator Collmore.
I would just like to say, from a perspective of a history student, I do think that while maybe it's not legally, I don't think we said the word legally historically significant. I think we said historically significant, and if we wanted to really, is what we've heard from a lot of the people so far that are for this, is sort of significant to campus culture and the students. So we could say both culturally significant and historically significant to the student body. Something along the lines of just this is historically significant to the students. Because I know within the history department itself, we have talked about how we feel, and many faculty members within the history department do feel that this building holds some historical significance.
VP Thompson?
Well, it's true that historical significance isn't just a legal category. I recognize that the government doesn't make history. Things can have significance without that. The argument of historical significance around this has solely been focused on the legal category, I believe, trying to get legal protections for the building, to the point where that's going to be the association that they have with the word historical significance reading this resolution. And like Senator Sparks says, that just gives them reason to push back on something we could fix now.
UC?
Yeah, I think removing the one word isn't gonna take away from the 3 pages of the resolution that go into every detail of what the building represents, who it represents. Excuse me. I don't think taking away that one word takes away that significance to the student body. So the word historical versus cultural, in my opinion, doesn't matter that much because you outline all of that throughout the resolution. So I understand that Alex was concerned about taking that word out, but I think you do a really good job of outlining that throughout the resolution. And I think taking that word out will not take away from that.
Senator St. Pierre?
I would argue that we're not asserting that UMSG believes this is historically significant. Or in this result, we're saying that there are people who believe it's historically significant. And we want all of those concerns to be heard. And I would hope that, seeing as this is the last meeting and there would be no chance for us to readdress this until next semester, that it would not be vetoed by the cabinet over one word.
VP Lehman?
As a history major, I feel in favor of changing the word to culture. I think culture captures what we are trying to get here. We know that the university has already taken the historical significance into consideration and they've moved forward with it, but they don't know about the culture, and the culture are the 1,500 people that signed the petition. Culture is the 1,500 people that signed the petition. So I think cultural significance is the wording that should be considered.
Senator DeLorme?
Motion previous.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion on motioning to previous. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor of motion previous? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear 2/3 majority, that passes. We will now be voting on the amendment of changing historical to cultural in the first result section. All those in favor of changing, all those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes.
Anyway.
We are now back into debate for the resolution as amended.
The point of this resolution is really an overarching one, and I think that it really does just. I know how big of a problem specifically Crossan Hall is, but this problem that we're talking about is even bigger than that because Crossan Hall is a domino in a long list of things. Myself and Vice President Chelmerdine took a lot of time to write this in this way so that when something like this, which was inevitable to come through, the Senate would be in its strongest position. I think that was a few ayes. I think that the Senate rightfully identified another way to make it stronger. I am in favor of the amendment that just passed, but I think that it really doesn't detract from what we're trying to say, which is that we were left out, people were left out. There's so much confusion, there's so much chaos, and it all stems from the fact that there isn't just a straightforward conversation happening. And I think that is what this spells out. And what I'm the most concerned about is that promises at the end of the day are kept, It's about what happens if the spruce budworm space isn't adequate and the domino effect from there. I want to make sure regardless that a Franco-American Center and a spruce budworm lab exists on this campus. Those are the organizations that our constituencies are a part of. And I think that we've done a really good job working to a point where we have a resolution that is not emotional in nature, is this factual in nature, and I think that the amendment that was just made pushes it more into that direction.
Senator St. Lawrence.
Motion previous. Second.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. Do you have a point of information or?
I guess discussion on motion to resolution previous. That I feel like there's great information to discuss when our conversation with VP Boyd. That I would like to address with the Senate. Before this is worked on.
That would be the
There's pertinent information that was discussed with VP Boyd. It's a fact.
All right. Any other points for discussion on moving to previous? Seeing none, debated. Senator St. Pierre.
I know Slade, y'all want to leave, but I think that this is, if there's points that need to be heard, we need to hear them, so I would urge everyone to vote against this.
If you go.
Because when VP Boyden brought up a misunderstanding of the square footage and how the square footage that is listed, the 2450 includes a shed space. That's not actually part of the space that they're moving. And taking that that's in consideration in this resolution.
In the sense that, yes, and I can explain it if we get into it, but essentially we're at a point where everyone is saying something different, that we put down the facts, all it says is what the director said, and all this is saying is that there's contradictions, and I need people to understand that this is not even really making a point that the university has said anything or done anything wrong, it's that none of us knows what's actually happening, and that is the problem. And that is the problem that this resolution is addressing.
Any points of debate on moving previous? Senator Collmore.
I would just like to say that I think there is always gonna be more discussion to be had about this. There will always be endless amounts of discussion to have. I do think probably almost everybody in this room is for this. So we probably just move forward.
Senator Sparks.
I believe that if anybody has any amendments to make, then we should not motion previous and kill motion previous, but if anybody does not have any amendments to make, then we should just move on.
Any more points for debate for moving to previous? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear 2/3 majority, that passes. We'll now go into voting on the resolution as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes as amended. Seeing nothing else under new business or main motion for executive session, we'll now enter special orders and announcements where any member of UMSG may address the GSS in no more than 5 minutes. President Tripp.
So this was the 1600th meeting of the General Student Senate, which I didn't realize, so that's definitely. Put from the perspective that we've all, as kind of a royal we throughout the years, have been at this work for a long time, and I genuinely believe that we are in one of the most efficient and productive eras that I've seen this organization or heard this organization be in. So congratulate yourselves on that. We're going into next semester. Know that your committee assignments have technically been revoked as of the adjournment of this meeting, but obviously there's a kind of a carryover period. So if you have some work that you want to do, and let me know if I can help you with that. Cabinet tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Enjoy your winter break. And that is the, yeah.
I know everyone wants to go home, but there's 3 cards going around. There are thank you cards to Pam, BJ, and Sean. Please pass them around, sign them, and make sure they get back to me or Josh. Also, please give me your binders. Never mind, Josh has them. So if you haven't signed them, you can talk to Josh after Senate, so we can all sign them.
So this is my last set of meetings for this school year, so I hope to see those of you returning in the fall, and to those I won't see again. Good luck, and yeah.
We'll be fantastic.
We'll be.
It was a good session, everybody.
Good luck with finals, happy holidays.
Please stop talking.
Good luck with finals, happy holidays, and I hope everybody has a very restful break.
Any more special orders or announcements? Representative Emery.
Well, I want to thank you all for the, lively conversation with the Cross and Hall thing. I think this is exactly how democracy should work. I think the fact that we all can sit here and have such a mature conversation on such an important topic. It's great, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And like I wish you guys good luck with finals and a happy holidays.
Any more special orders or announcements? I just want to say I'm really proud of all of you guys that we've completed so much work this semester, and I can't wait to see you all again next semester. See, Senator Starks. Motion to adjourn. No, I will not. Seeing nothing else for special orders announcements, will the clerk please call the final roll? Keegan Tripp.
Here.
Cynthia Schumacher. Here. Joshua Bone.
Here.
Ellen Lehman. Jordan Thompson. Here. Nate Fang.
Here.
Jason Leclerc.
Here.
Zoe Stankovitz. Here. Olivia Britt. Excused. Israel Erica. Here. Autumn Sidelko. Excused. Kyle Ricker. Ray Vanderwood.
Here.
Ezekiel Delorme.
Here.
Ryan St. Laurent.
Here.
Joseph Elliott.
Here.
Riley St. Pierre.
Here.
Counselor Allen.
Here.
Carl Whitehead.
Here.
Elena Dana. Here. Sky Van Beek. Excused. Isabella Lambertus. Here. Taylor Kearns. Here. Jeremy Collmore.
Here.
Ethan Pratty.
Here.
Hazel Sparks. Here. Calvin Villette.
Here.
Taylor Stanford. Haley Inman. Excuse. Marissa Schultz. Andy Karpinski. Here. Isabella Fango. Excuse. Alex Emery.
Here.
Jackson Gamble.
Here.
Sharif Abed. Excuse. Lauren. Lauren Digen. Thank you, sorry. Here? That's all. Senator Delorme?
Motion to adjourn.
That's it. Carrie second, it is pleasure of the Senate, then it's done.